Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me on this evening via Zencaster is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, the Islanders road trip continues through Western Canada. 3 games last week, all of them sort of weird in their own ways. One of them a thrilling victory. The other two pretty disappointing. A lot of mistakes made, a lot of opportunities lost. They're still in pretty good shape as of right now. Teams are playing, but definitely some points left on the table, unfortunately, this week. What did you make of these 3 games as a whole, and where the Islanders are at right now?
Yeah, I think it's more of the same, and that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's kind of just what they've been, and I feel the Islanders, they're almost at like this crossroads where they need to, not just them, I guess as a fan base too. We kind of all just need to decide what we want out of this season in a way, like and this is a funny thing about doing a podcast like this is you and I have been doing this for a long time. We've got a very loyal listener base, and that comes back every episode. And we've got, we're grateful to, a couple hundred Patreon members. And so there's a lot of people who listen every episode, who come back every episode. But with podcasts, there's always a chance that, and a likelihood that someone new is just going to stumble upon it and listen for the first time. And so if you've heard this caveat before, I'm sorry, but I got to say it for the new ones, that for anyone new listening, which is that this season needs to be viewed in this weird prism of the Islanders are in as good a place as they've ever been in since 1979. Like, this is the best when you look at it, when you're looking ahead, this is the best standing. This is the most stable ground. The future is as bright as it's been in 40 something years, 50 years, whatever it's been. That said, you can't ever take a season for granted.
No.
in sports. That's just what it
Especially
is.
these guys.
Yeah, especially with the Islanders. You can look around the league, like we talked about the Devils last week, how everyone was like, the future's bright. This team's going to be a wagon. And it's never really clicked. The Sabres, who now finally started to put things together, but they needed a 10-game winning streak to get just to the wild card race, right? And they've not made the playoffs in a decade. And there's so many teams and rebuilds on the cutting room floor that just because you got someone like Matthew Schaefer doesn't mean you're guaranteed success. And that's why you can't ever take a season for granted, especially one where you started well, in a year where expectations were not that high. That's what makes this such a complicated season to just be along for the ride on, is that I'm trying to get really excited about this season while also shaming myself and be like, it's not even about this season. It's about next year. This is just found money. And then be like, well, you never know. And so that's why a loss to the Flames, team, the Islanders are now 1-5 against the bottom 5 teams in the Western Conference.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. And why it's so frustrating, because if they had just been 3-2 or 2-1 against those teams, the Islanders are in an amazing spot. They're challenging the Hurricanes for the division, and they're in a comfortable situation where now that's just that there's, like everybody else in the Eastern Conference playoff race, they're on thin ice. A 2-game losing streak could just vault you to 13th in the conference, basically, it seems like. So without trying to get too down off of one loss, it's hard, because you look at the opportunities that they've had to really establish themselves as we're making the playoffs team. And they keep fumbling them. And when they fumble them, it's not against the Colorado Avalanche or the Dallas Stars. It's against the Canucks, and it's against the Flames, and it's against the Utah Mammoth and the St. Louis Blues. So that's what's been the frustrating part. But at the same time, they're in a good spot. They still are. And everybody listening to this, anyone coming into the season would have signed up to be where they're at, just in terms of wins, losses, points. Right now, they've got a Vezina favorite in goal. They've got the Calder Trophy runaway favorite in Schaefer. Barzal's having a great year. There's so much good happening, but you just can never take something like this for granted, ever, because you just don't know what's waiting for you. And especially with this franchise, I've had 2 people just today talking about that feeling of the other shoe dropping, and we bring it up all the time on the show. And that's just ingrained in our personality as a fan base and will be until they win. And that stuff is all, that's looming. And
Yeah.
without trying to sound too negative, because I am extremely enthusiastic and pleased, and I'm enjoying the season, and this team's been a breath of fresh air. They're incredibly likable group. Um, it's scary still because like they need to now collect these points against Seattle and Vancouver to close this road trip, or else it feels once again like Lucy in the football, or the other shoe might be dropping, or the monkey paw is curling, and all that, any idiom you want to use. Like it just so yeah, it's a very like it's confusing. It's a very confusing emotional state.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you took the words out right out of my mouth. I wasn't really sure how to feel after that Flames game because somebody in my Blue Sky mentions was like they played like assholes, and I was like, you're right, they did, but they did in like sort of intermittent ways, and every time like it was in short bursts, and every time they played like assholes, the Flames scored a goal, and so I was like, they did a lot of good things. Yeah, they just didn't score any goals, and it's just even that Winnipeg game, like we're going to talk about it in a minute. Like they try to come back. They try to do some things. They tried to make a game out of it, but ultimately it was just too weird a game, and they just dug themselves too far a hole to get out of. And then, of course, in between both of these games was an Oilers game that they literally tried to give away, and Ilya Sorokin and the Post just weren't having it. So it's a very strange feeling of games where they play well and lose, and then play poorly and win, or play both in the same game and end up losing. And like you said, they have a propensity for losing to teams below them in the standings, playing well against teams that are above them in the standings. And as we will talk at the end of this half, this episode's going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about the previous games this week, plus the games coming up this week in the first half. Then the second half of this episode is going to be dedicated to an epic Master Leaf Theater and then some Ranger Peace Theater, because you all know what they did this week. And so we're going to talk about all the games in this first half here. But basically, they get to decide how this road trip plays out based on the two games that they have this week coming up against the Canucks and Kraken.
Exactly right. And I think you bring up a great point, which is that as we alluded to last week, some teams are going off the rails, like other teams, right? Like it feels like the Islanders are they got out of town at the exact right time in a way. Like they're away, their two week road trip is like perfectly timed because all this other stuff is going on, and you can almost devote your day to thinking about the circuses going on in New York, or at the athletic headquarters, or wherever else, and not think about like the Islanders minute by minute, which has been nice because they're gone and they're not falling apart, right? They're not they're not sending out missives to their fan base about it, just another for the second time in 8 years, right? Like there's a lot to be grateful for in that regard, that it feels like the teams in the Eastern Conference, right? There's 16 teams. One of them is now coached by Rick Bowness. And there are 16 teams, and we love Bonus. I still do. And but it feels like the teams that are just gonna not shoot themselves in the foot or not do something completely insane. We've had two teams send out statements, one lashing out at the internet, the other one sending one to the season ticket holders. As I said, Bonus is involved now. The Sabres are winning every night. It's so like the Flyers are in a tailspin. So it seems like the teams that can just like be even keeled and have like a normal thing, just be normal, are going to make the playoffs. Like that's the bar right now in the Eastern Conference. Is just, can you be normal? And the Islanders are doing a really good job at like in the big picture of being normal. But when Brendan Burke says the puck's dropped in the first period of an Islander game, things of course go haywire because that's just how hockey is. But outside of that, outside the whistles, as long as they can stay normal, I think the Islanders are in good shape. And that should be well within their grasp. And being normal would mean not losing to Calgary, Seattle, and Vancouver to close out a road trip in which you beat the Oilers and you beat the Wild
Right.
on, and both of those buildings, I did not realize. We'll talk about it with the Oilers, but like I spent so much time thinking about the Hoodoos in Bridgestone Arena and in Minneapolis that I've completely kind of just forgot about their one, the Edmonton one. But yeah, so like if they could just beat the teams they're supposed to beat from this point going forward, the Islanders are in the playoffs going away. They're in, but they haven't given us any reason to believe that they can do that.
No.
This season. So yeah, it's
right.
And once again, before we dig into the games, I do want to reiterate, like, I'm having a lot of fun overall with the way that the season is going.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want that fun to be spoiled, and it's not on. We are on thin ice still, and that is always in the back of your head because and it's not even of like part of it is their own doing, but a lot of it is also just how the league has the dominoes have fallen in the Eastern Conference playoff race this season.
And even if you're someone who's not necessarily having fun with this season, at least you're still interested. I mean, we are almost at the end of January, and like there is still a lot that this team can do. Like there's still a lot of road for this team. It's not like, I think a lot of people looked at their roster and was like, yeah, this team's not that good, and expected to be kind of checked out by the end of November. Well, we're way past there, and these guys are in the thick of it. So, well, like I said, let's talk about the games. We'll look ahead to the next couple of games too while we're here. Before we dive in, a reminder that we are on Patreon at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Membership gets you ad-free episodes, bonus podcasts, written posts, chats with us, and a whole lot more. Try a 7-day free trial of our Country Club tier, or you can just join for free to get our weekly release calendar. Sign up any way you can, patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Okay, let's go all the way back to last week, the 5-4 loss to Winnipeg. I'm not going to get into every goal here, but I mean, it was 3-1 Winnipeg early in the second period when Josh Morrissey from distance and then Jonathan Taves scored in front. Nothing was working for the Islanders. It was just kind of I don't know. The first goal went to Kyle Connor, but I'm not sure Barzell didn't sweep that in. Schaefer got hurt. He left the game. It was just kind of a weird game. Things weren't really looking right. But all of a sudden, the Islanders come back. Anthony Duclair stayed hot with a wrister through Connor Hellebuck's arm. Emil Heineman scored on a penalty shot with the backhand of judgment. Love seeing that from another 51. And then Kyle McLean scored. All of a sudden, it's tied at 3, and then it's untied because Dylan DeMello scores from distance through a screen. They challenge it. No go. Schaefer gets hurt again at this point. He took a puck to the knee. Play stops. So because he's down on his knee. So the referee blows a whistle. Play stops. And Winnipeg fans start booing. And they would boo Schaefer for the rest of the game. And I can only imagine it's because they stopped play because he was hurt while the Jets had the puck. If that's true, that is some weak sauce, man. I don't know what to tell you. But then Kyle Lowry gets a deflection, makes it 5-3 Winnipeg. Sorry, I forgot his first name for a second there. And the Islanders just wouldn't recover. They were playing pretty good with the empty net. Schaefer gets a goal. He came back, makes it 5-4, but that wasn't enough. Sorokin made 17 saves. Yeah, a lot of them were like, a lot of these goals against were screens or bounces, weird bounces. But there was very little net front defense in this game. The Islanders' defense was terrible all game long, particularly in front of Sorokin's net. They did themselves no favors at all. Connor Hellebuck made 23 saves. I didn't think he was all that great either, but when all the bounces and all the screens and were going the Jets' way and the Islanders were doing nothing to stop it, particularly in front of Sorokin, what are you going to do? They gave it everything, but and the other thing was offensively, they could not get to the middle of the ice at all on Winnipeg. So whatever chances they had really weren't all that dangerous, but they gave it a shot. Schaefer did tie Bobby Orr with his 13th goal as a rookie or as an 18-year-old. Heineman, I thought, was basically the best player on the Islanders all game long. And, again, effort has never been a problem with this team. And this was right up there with like, hey, they tried. But ultimately, people were pissed off because Winnipeg, like Calgary, which we're going to talk about in a minute, was kind of down in the Western Conference standings. But like they had won a bunch of games coming into this and are definitely out of their funk. So I didn't look at them as like a last place team. But few less mistakes and the Islanders would have won this game. It was a frustrating one. What did you think of this one? And what'd you come away with it after it was over?
I was so excited to watch this game because
Yeah.
the
I like watching the Jets.
yeah, there's a little bit of a kindred spirits thing with us and the Jets. But Monday, like Sunday, Monday, whenever you saw it, like those videos at Anders Lee's pond,
Yeah.
the Islanders, it felt like the feeling around the team. Patrick Waugh, I think, summed it up beautifully by just saying, like, there's a lot of joy in this group right now.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way, Patrick. I had a lot of joy too. I was watching that. I thought that the video was beautifully done, with just no, just they just let the video breathe, the sounds breathe. That it was beautifully scored, as well. Like it was just a well done bit, and it was on the front page of Newsday. It was like
Yeah.
there was just that you felt like with all the goodwill that seemingly, that's something that you would just text your friends, be like, hey, like, do you want to go play at Stephen McDonald Pond? It's open. We're allowed to skate on it and play, right? Like when NHL hockey players do it, it becomes a big thing. And it felt like that small act of just having a play date with your friends at Anders Lee's house was got the entire fan base believing that nothing could stop us now, right? It really felt like that going into the Jets game. And I was so excited to watch the game. Disappointed that the NHL didn't allow the Islanders to just wear the jerseys that they wore at Anders Lee's Pond. I would have loved to see Ilya Sorokin in that green Edina high school jersey in goal.
Right. That would have
But
been fun.
yeah,
Yukon jersey.
yeah, Mark
Jacob's
Jacobs flying around in his Yukon jersey. So I was like, there's no way they're gonna lose. They're never gonna lose again. They played hockey together. They had a play date, and they just were messy. It was a messy game. When they fought back, they got when Heineman scored on the penalty shot, and you're like, wow, like maybe nothing bad is ever going to happen to this team again, because like, how are they back? It all happened so quick. It was 3-0 and 3-3 within 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And some weird bounces. I mean, if I was a Jets fan, I would have been pissed off at that call too, but I don't think I would have taken it out on Matthew Schaefer. It wasn't his fault, but it felt like a game that the Islanders didn't have to win, and they didn't. But it was one that I really wanted them to win, because I just wanted the continuation of that the goodwill, the good feelings off of the pond and the win in Minnesota to continue. It really felt like this team had found something again and was rolling. And yeah, they were messy to the point where I'm like, okay, like there's now a handful of players in the lineup that I don't trust right now with the way they're going. Like I don't trust them to finish good looks. I don't trust them to make the right play defensively. These are mostly forwards too. Like they weren't great defensively, but I do think that the blue line has, for what it is, has done an exceptional job this season. Pellick's been awesome. Pollock's been awesome. Schaefer, of course, has been great. Tony D, since he's been with Pellick, has been better. And then Mayfield's just making do with whoever the hell is playing with him on a given night. So, but like the forwards are now starting to agitate me a little bit. And whether it's Joe Juin, who, I mean, do you remember the first game of the season? Do you remember what he did?
Drouin?
Yeah.
Did he score a goal? Or he had an assist?
He cross-checked somebody in the face that got suspended.
Oh, duh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, right? Like, and I was like, this guy's great. Like he's two-handing penguins. That's a really quick way to, and it just feels like a little bit of that has vanished, or a lot of that has vanished from his game, and he's clearly a player who's lacking confidence and could use either a goal or maybe a night off, one or the other. And like, I love Max Shabanov. I think he's a psycho. I love his hair. I love his look. I love the fact that he wears number 49, and it's bigger than his actual body, like the numbers on his back. But like he's like failing to really make an impact right now. So like even Anders Lee has struggled a little bit to find. He scored, but it was like kind of garbage time. But he had kind of gone in the cooler a bit. And meanwhile, like Max Siplikov, I thought had a pretty good game against Minnesota. Then he's in the press box. The forwards right now are just, it's hard to trust, and it is worth remembering, talking about how great it's been and how this team has punched above its weight. They've done so without Kyle Palmieri and Bo Horvat now for
Yeah.
large chunks, and Alex Romanov. But so they deserve a ton of credit for that. But I was like, I'm putting some guys on watch now, and
Yeah.
I feel like the team should be too. But then they just never did, and they rolled with it into Edmonton, and it didn't bite them. But I do think it bit them in Calgary. So I don't. This game was like the first time I was like, I've been frustrated with a few players, as you always
Mm.
will be in the season. But this time, this game was the first one I was like, you just need to be better now. Like you're in a
Yeah.
playoff race. Like you
Yeah.
just step it up. Let's do your job. So Barry Trotz used to always say that one of the reasons that 18-19 team was so good and overachieved was because every guy in that room knew what they were supposed to do, and they also trusted the guy next to them that they knew what they were supposed to do. And this team generally has done that, but now it feels like there's a little bit of wavering in that you not only are you as a player maybe lacking confidence, but you also might be lacking confidence in your teammate, and it's
Mm.
starting to show a little bit. So I thought some cracks started to show more
Mm.
glaringly in this Jets game, that had been sort of surfacing for a little while.
Yeah. This is the week where not having Bo Horvat has really, really, really shown. Like it's just really become a huge problem. And like we're nearing, I think they said he went out January 1st, right? Or around New Year's Day. And we're coming up on a month or so. We're I guess a couple weeks now, and we don't know when he's gonna be back, not for the rest of this trip. Maybe he's back against Buffalo. We don't know. But like it's becoming a problem that this team doesn't really have a ton of offensive punch. And it's unfortunately this is a situation we've been in before where like, they lose Adam Pellick and all of a sudden the defense goes to shit. Or they lose, Anders Lee, and all of a sudden it's like, well, who's going to score now? Well, they went out and got Palmieri. Okay, great. But like, what's going to happen? So like this, or, a loss of a goalie is the end of the world, basically. Here, losing Horvat has just kind of robbed them of a guy who can really make things happen offensively. And a couple of guys have stepped up. Anthony Duclair, obviously being one. We're going to talk about him again, and obviously in a minute. Too many guys are just not here to put the puck in the back of the net. I would say Cal Ritchie is also another guy who stepped up, who's looked really, really good. Barzell, I'm going to get to him. Let's just talk about the Flames game real quick. But like, there are guys that need to score on this team, and Drouin is right at the top of the list. I think it's 23 games now without a goal. He's just an offensive black hole a lot. He's been taken off the power play. It's looked better without him on it, frankly, and they replaced him with Heineman and Holmstrom. But to your point about weird lineup decisions, Anders Lee, who has God only knows how many goals on a power play in his career, he just scored number 300 finally, is not on the first power play unit, and nobody understands why. Like, I get it, people can criticize Lee or whatever, but like, why is this man who's considered one of the better net front players in the league not at the front of the net when the Islanders go on the power play? And maybe that's why they have the 30th or 31st or whatever it is ranked power play. There's just too many holes here that need to get filled, and Bo is a guy who can make all that happen. And I'm thinking specifically about Barzell. Let's just talk about the Flames game. We'll get the two losses out of the way, and then we'll talk about the Oilers game. So they lost to Calgary 4-2. It started out with the Islanders taking back-to-back penalties. They killed them both. They were buzzing, but then Igor Sharangovich, after a nice passing play in the slot, makes it 1-0. There was a turnover there at some point. The Islanders had all the better chances, but the Flames had the goal, and you thought, oh, okay, this will be fine. They'll just play like this in the next period. They kind of did, and it also kind of bit them. They started buzzing again. All of a sudden, there's a turnover thanks to that was the next one. Adam Klapiga scores from a Rasmus Anderson point shot, makes it 2-0. Then Barzell giveaway. Pulock kind of waves at the puck lazily by the blue line. It gets past him. It's a 3-on-1, and Justin Kirkland scores his first goal of the year in the middle of January. Great, makes it 3-0 Calgary. All of a sudden, as I'm writing that down, Jan Kuznetsov, who I literally did not know existed and have never heard of before this moment, scores from distance, makes it 4-0 Calgary. They get a lucky bounce. JG Pajot gets credit for it. Well, actually, the bounce off the boards went to Pajot. He scored short sides. It was a nice goal. They didn't know it was a goal at first because it went right up into the top of the net, but it was a goal, makes it 4-1. very annoying period, very annoying game so far. And this is when I realized that this is the karmic retribution for the game in Edmonton, where they played so terribly and ended up winning. They had more chances in the third period. Patrick Waugh pulled David Rittich with 8 minutes to go. Dustin Wolf took a shot at the empty net, didn't go. Everybody was very upset about it, including Mackenzie Weegar, who they showed on the video. Anders Lee did get goal number 300, scoring on the short side on the rush. Not exactly an Anders Lee type goal, but he'll take it. But that was it. Wasn't enough. They had a late power play too, and they just kind of kept drop passing, skating around, not doing anything with it. And all of a sudden, this like minute and a half that they had on the power play just evaporated. And it ended up being very similar to the Jets game. Just the score was different. As opposed to 5-4, this was 4-2. And it just, they had all these chances to take the game over. And at points, were the better team. But every time they made a mistake, it would end up in the back of the net. Every time they made a turnover, it would end up, pinning them in their own zone. David Rittich made 15 saves, and he barely had any work to do because the Islanders outshot the Flames 30-19. And Dustin Wolf looked like he was having a lot of fun. So just two games that very annoying, very irritating, very disappointing. And again, like, you guys could have won this or at least gotten to overtime with, somebody who hasn't scored in 23 games, maybe putting the puck in the net, or a guy who's been turning the puck over all season, stop turning the puck over. So maybe it's too much to expect from these guys. I don't know.
Yeah. And the other frustrating thing again was that, so the Islanders come into this game, they have a absolute, highway robbery of a win in Edmonton.
Right.
First win there since 2017 and first shutout there since game 4, whatever it was, of 1983. Some crazy stat. Billy Smith had the last shutout for the Islanders in Edmonton, all this stuff. And then after the Islanders won, like the Leafs blew that game against Marner.
Yeah.
The letter comes out. Then Wade Dublowitz is unearthed.
Yes. We now know where he works and why he was wearing the yellow overalls.
Yes. So I'm spending my morning reading a beautifully done piece by Corey Wright of the Islanders on Wade Dublowitz, and it was just so well done because you could feel that when you're reading it that Corey is just writing it as he's explaining to Wade Dublowitz, like, hey man, like, no, you really should come back to Long Island. I don't think you understand. People are going to be like, it's going to be like when if you go to a wedding and they lift people up on chairs and they're waving napkins around, right? Like, it's going to be something like that, Wade. And he's like slowly starting to get it, and he takes a jab at the Leafs in it. It was incredible. It was out of nowhere, and on the heels of the win and the other stuff that was happening to our rivals, you're like, oh god, like the Islanders, nothing bad's ever gonna happen to them again. Like I felt like I was right back where I was before that Jets game, like thinking that this team, because of stuff that is happening off the ice, is untouchable, invincible, and unbreakable. And that is when with this particular season and this particular team to be very scared, because once it feels like you're just so close to just getting over the line, it's like when you're having a dream and it's just an amazing dream and you just snap and you wake up from it almost in a way. And that's what it feels like with the Islanders right now, that they get so close to just stepping into the other dimension of being a true contender, of not having to worry about being in the playoff race, but pushing for a division or anything like that. They just get pulled back down to earth among the other ragged teams in the East, and they're so close to being going in the other direction, and it's always these bad teams that bring them back down. And this game was it reminded me a little bit of the Jets game in that, like, it felt like a game of fits and starts, and the Islanders just continued to have too many guys play for the Calgary Flames.
Yes.
And they almost overcame it, but they weren't able to. Like, it felt like there were times like Joe Drouin had a wonderful chance early on.
Yeah.
They had a couple of chances. Casey Cizikas hit a post. They had a couple of chances to tie it early in the second. And so it felt like they were so close to getting into this game, and they just never could. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like the Jets game, that this was a game where individuals just they weren't able to they were not able the team was not able to overcome individual mistakes and individual
Yeah.
inconsistencies. And yeah, it was just really frustrating because they're just knocking on the door. They really are
Right.
just knocking on the door of uh it-
Right.
they're right there. They're just right
Right.
there, and you don't know, like they're on like a stage in a way,
Yeah.
and you're watching them, and you see them knock on the door, and there's also a trap door under their feet, and you don't know if that door is going to open or the door under their feet's going to open.
Right.
And we're in this such a weird spot, and we keep getting put there by teams that we should be beating. And I mean, I don't there wasn't too much to like out of a lot of the players in this game, but we we'll talk about that Edmonton game too, because in a lot of ways that Edmonton game felt like these three games almost felt like one game, three periods of the same game in a way,
Yeah.
like, because they just didn't play well in any of them.
Right.
And they got a win against the best of the best team of them.
Yeah.
And it was just because they got lucky, and they had I should not say that. They
Yeah.
won that game thanks to a lot of will, a lot of grit, a lot of hard work, and stupendous goaltending, and
Yeah.
also luck. Like that,
Yep.
and that's just not going to carry. That's never going to carry unless you're the Rangers, and it's 2022 or whenever they're going to Eastern, every other year when they go to the Eastern Conference Final, and hey, you need to play against a terrible goalie. Sure, here's Louis Domingue, here's Antti Ranta, here's Dustin Tokarski.
Right.
Like, for any other team in the league, that's not a sustainable way to win game after game. Like, just be like, all right, we'll just throw our goalie in and hope that enough pucks hit him in the post that we can shut out Connor McDavid.
I think it's fair to say that there was a lot of luck in that game. Because,
It was a lot of
when
luck.
Evan Bouchard and Leon Draisaitl bookend a period by both hitting posts, that's luck. Like,
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But they also, like, they also, like, they bent a lot. They didn't break, and so they deserve some credit. And but when you put the three games together, and you look at them, you're like, maybe there are causes there. Like, the process is a little wonky right now, and your point about Horvat is dead on, which is he fills so many gaps. He's your best offensive center. He's also your best defensive center, basically, at this point. Like, he's just your most trustworthy player.
Right.
Maybe outside of Pelech.
Well, I was going to say right now, yeah, definitely Pelech, as far as trustworthy goes. But, like, I was going to say that the problem is that, like, now, like, you're right. Before we get to the Edmonton game, like, right after the Flames took that 1-0 lead, the very next shift, Casey Cizikas takes it into the Flame zone on a little kind of mini breakaway or a rush, and he hits the post. And it's like, that was great. Like, that was cool. You didn't score, but that's the kind of, shift that you want to see next. And then the next shift out, they're just stuck in their own zone again. Like, there's not that I'm saying, like, Bo would have scored on the next shift or whatever, but, like, there's just nobody there to make the thing happen. And, we're going to get to Anthony Duclair again. We'll get to the Edmonton game in a second, I promise. But, like, I thought, and listen, I love Matt Barzal to death. I thought he was playing for the Flames. Like, he was skating around the zone. Clearly, the Flames' game plan was watch Barzal. He's going to have the puck a lot and just take it from him. And he turned the puck over, I don't even know how many times, because it seemed like every time he had the puck, which was a lot, he was skating, he would stop, and then the Flames would just take the puck. That literally resulted in one goal at one point, and then a couple of other chances, and getting pinned, zone shift stuck in your own zone. And it's just like, this guy is so supremely talented at all kinds of stuff, but he just, for some reason, can't get the touch, the scoring touch, where he becomes, if he ever added a consistent scoring touch, and I mean, he got his 300th point in the Edmonton game on an assist, because he by his own admission is more of an assist guy. That's great. But, like, if he had that scoring touch, this guy would be an absolute menace for teams, because they cannot contain him. Nobody can grab a hold of him. It's like he's covered in Crisco or something, but there's just nobody there to, like, make the puck go in the net. And we're going to see from in the Edmonton game, it did work at one point, but it's too many times he's just skating and he's got the puck and he does these spectacular things and it just comes to nothing. And I'm not going to put it all on Jonathan Drouin, although he's a culprit here, but, like, he's playing. Shabanov is a guy who's gone really quiet. I like Shabanov, but he's gone completely silent. Like, I like Simon Holmstrom. He had a great game in Nashville. He's been okay this season, but he's just not a guy who's going to score. They're not even on the same line, obviously. Heineman has slowed down quite a bit, but he had an unsustainably high shooting percentage earlier this season anyway. But just like, there's nobody there to be the trigger man. And that's what this team is desperate. Even Bo Horvat's not a trigger man, but he's the closest thing they have to the trigger man position. And it's very frustrating. And that's what makes games like Winnipeg and Calgary frustrating. Now, finally, we have gotten to the game in between those two games. And that is the 1-0 win over the Edmonton Oilers. It was scoreless until just before the halfway point of the third period. Ilya Sorokin was absolutely magnificent the entire time. He had huge saves on Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman in the first period. And Connor Ingram was really good too. He had a huge stop on Mark Gatcomb on a breakaway in the first period. I thought Schaefer was amazing in this game. I thought he really, really wanted it. You can see on his face almost that, like, he wanted to put on a great show against Connor McDavid and go up against him. And he and Pelech, I thought, were really, really good in this game. It kept on going. Lee had a bunch of chances in the second period. He eventually would get 300. I do want to talk about that in a little bit. And there was a bunch of penalties, but they all got killed. Shots were 13-4 Edmonton in the second period. And this was where the first period was about even. Shots were 12-11 Islanders. And then the Oilers took the period. That game, they took the game over starting in the third period. Shots were 13-4 in the second. They would be 10-2 in the third. But again, Sorokin was amazing. The penalty kill was really, really good. They get a power play after Draisaitl got a penalty on Schaefer. Duclair in the slot from Cal Ritchie. Beautiful behind the back pass. Barzal, the secondary assist, his 300th point of his career. 1-0 Islanders. It would get a little hairy after that. Duclair did have another chance. There was one long shift in the Edmonton zone, which was really nice to see. And then, like I said, Draisaitl hit the post with a couple of seconds left. Bouchard hit 2 posts, actually, earlier in the period. And then Anders Lee sent the puck down the ice, and the Islanders walked out with a 1-0 win. Obviously, Duclair's shot has to be this week's Vanda Pharmaceuticals shot of the week. Get vaccinated today. I don't like giving these things out to in losses. So this had to be the one goal that they got in their one win this week. Has to be the Vanda Pharmaceutical shot of the week. And that makes Sorokin your Viam cyborg of the week, of course, after making 35 saves. Absolutely spectacular. Like you said, their first shutout since game 1 of the 1983 Stanley Cup final. Billy Smith, I always joke about these things happening during the dynasty, but in this case, it's actually true. First win in Edmonton since 2017. That was the Josh Hosang goal game. If you can remember that one, I remember that one. And happy birthday again to one of our patrons, Kirsten, who was in the building. She's in Edmonton. She was at the game and she saw something that was absolutely amazing. So happy birthday, Kirsten. Yeah, this was all Sorokin. Like, it was all Sorokin. The first period, I thought, had all the makings of a terrific back and forth, wide open, high event game. And the Islanders just were like, no, that's okay. And they just literally stopped playing offense for the second and third periods. They just left it all up to Ilya. And he was spectacular, and he deserved that Iron Man mask. And this was as fun a win as I can remember. But they came within 2 shots of losing this game 2-1. So it's not like the problems went away. They just were kind of covered for one game by Ilya Sorokin, who was unbelievable.
Yeah. He's, there's so much going on with this team this season. Schaefer and just the team generally doing well. And
if I had to pick a second best player for the Islanders in that game, it was Matthew Schaefer.
Yeah,
I thought he was really,
yes,
really good.
Absolutely. That I think everyone now knows, like, Sorokin's having a great season, but it's spectacular at this point. He's just been so good, and his past 2 shutouts have just been kind of the outrageous variety, and he's got 5 already this season. So he's there's just some games, and Butchie, I think, was saying it right away that, like, him and Ingram, you could just kind of tell when goalies are on. And within, like, the first 4 or 5 minutes of this game, you could tell that they both were on their game, and Sorokin was just spectacular and won this game on his own. 2 points that he basically stole on his own. And as you said, Schaefer was awesome in this one, and the play by Ritchie was really special. And there's been times where I'm like, I don't know if, like, he's the right guy on this top power play unit, but now he's starting to show a lot more than he started to show like a lot of what's in his toolkit, and he's got a lot in his toolkit. Like he's a good skater, he's big, he's got great hands, he's smart. He's rolling. He's been really impressive. If the Islanders didn't have Matthew Schaefer, we'd all be like, I mean, this is a fan base. I was pumped about Justin Mappletoft, and I thought that Jesse Yoensu was going to be awesome, right. And this guy we'd be singing his praises up and down Hempstead Turnpike if Schaefer wasn't here. But this was just like a very memorable game. There's some restaurants you go to where I always say this about American Burger in Rockville Center. Like, it's not going to be the best burger you ever had, but you're never going to forget eating at American Burger in Rockville Center. It's got a burger for all 50 states. There's all this like America. There's like tchotchkes everywhere. There's all these pictures of random famous Americans all over the wall. There's like saddles instead of bar stools, and bar stools next to the saddles. It's an incredibly funky little small.
Sounds dusty.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just that it's everything that's great about America in one place. And that's what I think about this game. It's like, yeah, that was not the best Islanders win you'll ever see, but it's one you're never going to forget. You're never going to forget winning that game against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl hitting the post, the far post too, on that with like a minute left, and the Islanders escaping with a win. And the play by Ritchie, the goal from Duclair, the celebration by Duclair. Then the Islanders like released a video of Patrick Waugh in the intermission, and he's like, "We're gonna win this game." And I'm like, "Yeah, he knew." He's like Nick Kypreos. He's never wrong. And yeah, it was just that was a great game. And this is what's been so hard to. It's been so hard to just put yourself into like an armadillo ball and just roll down the hill with the Islanders. Is that when they get these moments and then they just sandwich them with games against Winnipeg and Calgary or Utah and Minnesota and St. Louis, and you're just waiting for them to just step over the line, and it's almost like they felt guilty about winning this game.
Yeah.
It's like we it's a good way to
put it. Yeah,
they had to lose in Calgary and because of it, and it's frustrating because really good teams, when they win that game, they win the next one. And when they kill 2 penalties to start the next one in the first 4 minutes.
Right.
Like, how many times do we watch the Islanders get a power play or 2 early on? They don't score. And then you're like, well, that's the game, because the other team now they've got their legs. They've like weathered a little storm. And the Islanders had a 5-on-3 was against Utah. They had a 5-on-3 in like the first 4 minutes and they didn't score. And then Utah scored like 11 goals in a row. And, so like, yeah, that's what's been infuriating, and almost in a good way. Like, it's almost been a good, because it's such a different type of infuriating from previous seasons, where you're watching them pushing a boulder up a hill just to score a goal or get a win. And now it's just, players are disappearing and all sorts of stuff. And now it's just, they just are a little maddeningly inconsistent, and they have some excuses to be that way. A, they weren't supposed to be very good. B, they're missing 3 of their top, a top 4 defenseman, a top 6 winger, and their best 2-way center, and their best goal scorer. So I mean, they also survived Ilya Sorokin's the favorite to win the Vezina. They survived a 7-game stretch without him.
Yeah.
So like they're infuriating in a way like that. You're proving you're better than you're supposed to be, but you're also not proving that you're better than that. And to this season in particular, it's a little bit of a dangerous game to play just because of how close everyone's nipping at your heels.
Right.
It seems like there's 3 different teams on a 5-game winning streak at all times in the Eastern Conference.
And everybody's always going to fucking overtime.
Everyone's going to overtime every night. It's
right.
That's what's, I think just two or 3 or 4 things could be true at once. And right now it feels like, yes, I am extremely pleased with where the Islanders are in the big picture. And yes, I understand that the Islanders are having a season better than anyone expected right now. And yes, I know they're in a good position where they're probably a little bit better than a coin flip to make the playoffs. And I would have signed up for that in a heartbeat 4 months ago. But yes, I am also terrified that they could lose these next 2 games and return home and play Buffalo. First game back from a road trip.
Don't even,
And they can be staring down a 4-game losing streak that could send them 4 points out of the playoffs, right? So
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's all all these things are rattling around in my brain. Plus, I
Yeah.
know that Wade Dublowitz now works at a sawmill, so like
Yeah.
there's a lot to grasp with right now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely go read the Ray Dublitz article if you want to feel better about the Islanders. It was great. Corey did a great job on that. But yeah, no, and this is why I get back to what I was saying before, and because you articulated it very well, exactly what I was thinking. Like they're just so close, and that's why like I've been afraid, particularly in this stretch, and we haven't really said it all year. I think maybe once or twice we said it. It's hard for me to like put the played like assholes label on these 3 games because there were times in all of these games where they didn't play like assholes. Like even in that Oilers game, the first period, they were great. There was high event hockey. It was about the most entertaining 0-0 period of hockey you'll ever see. They weren't assholes during that point. It was both teams, if anything, were assholes, but it was a lot of fun. And then, they're given a late power play and they score on it. Like that's what you want. Mike Rupp said this on the Tri-State hockey podcast when they were talking about this game. That's what you want. You're given this opportunity. You make the most of your opportunity. That was a well executed. It took a spectacular pass, but like that was a well executed power play. And so like even in that game in which they were so poorly, so massively outplayed, they weren't totally assholes the whole time. In the Jets game that, looks like they kind of got blown out, they were down 3-0. They tied the game inside of 5 minutes. Like that's awesome. And then that was it. The game was over. And even in the Flames game, I kept thinking they were going to come back. Even when it was 4-0 Calgary, I thought to myself, there's like a half a game left here to play. Like if they turn this on, they can do it. And then of course, Pajot gets a goal and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm right. But of course I wasn't. So they didn't go full asshole here, but they didn't really not do that either. Like there's just something missing. And maybe that something is Bo Horvat. Maybe it's not, who knows? But let's get to the games coming up because we've been dancing around them. So the upcoming schedule is on Monday, the day you're probably listening to this, at 10 p.m. It is the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver, obviously. And then on Wednesday, they are in Seattle to play the Kraken. Both of those games are at 10 p.m. So put the coffee on, get ready. It's going to suck being at work the next day, but what are you going to do? And then on Saturday, they return home for everybody's favorite, a 1:00 matinee game against the Buffalo Sabres. That seems like it's got, 4-0 loss written all over. But let's talk about these. And like I said before, the metric here is very simple. The Islanders get to decide how this road trip goes in the books. If they win both of these games on Monday and Wednesday, and again, it's not a back-to-back, which is nice. If they win both of these games against these two very beatable teams, then you come home from this 7-game road trip 4-2-1, and it looks great. That's absolutely spectacular. If they split these 2 games, let's say they win in Vancouver and they lose in Seattle, you come back 3-3-1. Okay, that's not bad. You got points. That's good. Could have been better, but honestly, that 7-game road trip, 500, can't complain too hard. If they lose both of these games and you come home 2-4-1, this is where you look at the season maybe at the end and it's over and you're like, that really killed us. the games against Winnipeg and Calgary and Vancouver and Seattle, that was where their season was lost. And that's why they didn't make the playoffs. So they ended up in an 8th seed and playing goddamn Carolina again, something like that,
Right.
So they have the choice here. It's all depending on how they want to play this and what they want to do. We'll talk about Buffalo in a minute, but you feel the same way, right? Like they could go any way here.
And that's what was so frustrating. I could recognize that this is a huge game because you win this one and you've set up where the worst you could do on this 7-game road trip is 500 and you're playing 2 beatable opponents. So you'd feel pretty good about, hey, there's a chance you get 11 out of 14 points out of this road trip. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And instead that they punted on it and now they put themselves in a spot, like you said, where the entire trip now just gets decided on these 2 games, and they're both very winnable. They're both happening late at night, and they are, as you said, coming before what is easily, I don't know if we'll get to it in our second half because it's going to be behemoth, but there was this, as soon as the Leafs lost to Utah the night after they beat Colorado, the entire Toronto media industrial complex circled the wagons around it being a scheduled loss.
Yeah.
It was like they just found out what that was. They're like, oh, it was a scheduled loss. It's okay. Like,
right.
Guys, do not say that. Do not make sure you write that it was a scheduled loss in the paper. And then Kipper was like, are you kidding me? Like, where's this coming? I'll tell you what. a 1:00 start against the Buffalo Sabres on a Saturday on what I think is another kids' day after
Yeah.
a 2-week, 7-game road trip that's taken you across 6 different regions. I mean, they were in Nashville, then they went to the Frozen Plains, then they're out in Alberta, now they're going to British Columbia, and then they're going to Seattle, and then they're coming back home. Like, the Islanders are not going to beat the Buffalo Sabres at 1 PM. They could be playing Pat LaFontaine's, like, Long Island Royals team on Saturday at 1 PM at UBS Arena. They would not win that game. And I would love to be proven wrong, but no team ever wins that game, and the Islanders even more so. So they need to find a way to win both these games, I think. Maybe I don't know if is it asking too much to beat the worst team in the league and the Seattle Kraken on the road? Like, I don't
For
think
these
so.
guys?
Yeah, right? Like, it's like, just if they do it, they're gonna be in a great spot. They're gonna come home 9 out of 14 points on the 7-game road trip, coming back playing the Sabres. On paper, the Islanders should be favored to win that game at home against the Sabres, but we know that they're not built to win matinees, especially after long road trips. Then it's not the schedule softens up a bit. There's 4 7:00 starts in a row afterwards, believe it or not, which is crazy. So I just it feels like these 2 games against the 2 teams that are, I think, geographically furthest away from the Islanders, taking place late at night on a Monday and a Wednesday night in January, are really important. Because of what's to come, the breaks coming up. Like, they can't slide now. Like, if they start a swoon here, it's going to be devastating.
Yeah.
And so I just hope that they're able to snap back. And it's, as we keep alluding to, like, without Horvat, they're now asking everyone to kind of step up a little bit more than what their normal role is, whether that's, it's guys who are answering the call like Duclair. I think Simon Holmstrom's been really good of late. Barzal has been trying to do too much. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it's not. Schaefer's been great. I think the defense is as a whole has been good. Sorokin, obviously, but they're going to need Jia Zhuan and guys like that. Max Shabanov. Hey, maybe Max Siplikov gets in the lineup. Can we get a Mark Gatcomb goal, or can Ryan Pulock hit the net with a slap shot? They're going to need they're just going to need guys to step up that haven't been, if they're going to get to that Buffalo game without it being a must win. Because if they get 1 or 0 or 1 points out of these next 2, that game against the Sabres is going to be basically a playoff game. And then on the other side of that is the Flyers in the next week. So it's like you're if you don't want those 2 games to feel incredibly critical, you gotta. And it's been a while. It's been a while since we've had like a true, oh fuck, they need to win this game moment.
Yeah.
And if they want to continue to kick that can down the road, they better beat the Kraken and Canucks. And that game against the Kraken is on TNT, by the way, which is very random. But
oh god, thank you. Yeah, that's really gonna suck.
Ratings bonanza for them. Yeah. Islanders, Kraken, Eberle, Lambert against their former team. You can sell that one.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? I was thinking about it today too. Everybody was complaining about how they always lose to teams lower than them. Well, guess what? The Sabres are a real team this year. They decided after 14 years that they actually wanted to be in the playoffs. So they are just as much in the hunt as the Islanders. So maybe that'll wake the Islanders up and they can make things happen on Sunday. But yeah, I'm with you. We've seen the first game back is the hardest one loss already this season. I don't want to see it again, but if they lose these 2, then if they lose that game against Buffalo, that's just infinitely worse than whatever. So, this is this is a huge week against some teams that frankly this team could beat, Bo Horvat or no Bo Horvat. And if they get Horvat back on Saturday, hey, maybe even better. That'll be great too. Okay. Very quickly on Anders Lee, congratulations on his 300th goal. Only 4 men in the history of this 54-year-old franchise have ever scored 300 or more goals, and every single one of them has a banner hanging from the rafters. I'm not saying he's going to have one, but I'm saying he is in very rare territory for the New York Islanders. I couldn't be happier for him. It came in a loss, unfortunately, but it's been a pleasure watching this guy work. And, I think at some point people are going to look back on his career and be like, damn, that guy was really good. 40 goal season, 300 career goals. And, if he was on the first, power play, maybe he'd have 305 and have passed Clark Gillies at this point. If he continues and he scores 310 more goals or 11 more goals, he will pass Dennis Potvin, which is just absolutely crazy. So congratulations to Anders Lee. Okay, it's been a while. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back on the other side. We're going to have very special Master Leaf Theater and a very special Ranger Piece Theater and a very special guest, the one and only Dominik Jansky of Lighthouse Hockey. Our good friend is going to be here. He's going to help us read some of these things, and you're going to have a great time, I promise. So meet us on the other side. Thanks. And now, a word from our sponsors. VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop VintageIceHockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. And please, drink responsibly. Okay, we've talked about the Islanders' upcoming schedule, a little bit about our upcoming schedule. This week, we have a brand new Weird Islanders, the podcast, coming out on Friday. It's one we actually recorded back in August and kept getting bumped because we kept having sort of timed episodes coming out. So I'm really glad this is coming out now. It's about a player who is not in the NHL right now, but might be in the future. Ooh, big prediction from our great guest. So check that out on Friday. It's a really, really good one. I think people will appreciate it. Okay, that is out of the way. Now for the main event here in the second half. It is time for a brand new Master Leaf Theater. But before we get there, we have to bring on our special guest. You know him, of course, as the founder of Lighthouse Hockey. He's our good friend, Dominik Jansky. Dominik, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing just fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. It's been far too long for us having you on. While we have you, and before we dive into two pieces about actually our some of our most hated enemies here, we should ask you about the current Islanders. So Mike and I were just speaking about the final two games of this road trip that are coming up. The one in Vancouver on Monday night, and then on Wednesday in Seattle. And we were saying that basically, these two games are going to dictate how this road trip goes down in history, whether it's upcoming, soon history or future history. Because if they win both of them, that's a great road trip. If they split, well, it could have been better, but not too bad. And if they lose them both, this could be kind of where the season is pointed. This could be the point of the season that's parted out and been like, this is where everything kind of went off the rails. Would you agree with that? And kind of what's your assessment so far of the Islanders this season and how things could, go in the immediate future before the Olympic break?
I think I would agree with that in a normal season, but this one has been so weird that and I think I'm kind of just along for the ride, enjoying that they're entertaining and that they're accessible again, and that that management is trying. That I just sort of the road trip where they went, I think it was 6-1 or something, just felt like it came out of nowhere. And so I'm just sort of used to they're going to be hanging around, they're going to be in this throughout the whole season, and the games that they're supposed to win, they might really piss us off, and then the games that they're not going to win or not supposed to win, Sorokin, stands on his head or something else happens. So I'm just prepared for whatever happens the rest of this road trip. My expectations are still going to be flipped a few days later.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that sounds about right. The season has been anything but normal. I think we accounted for that too, right, Mike?
Yeah. I think it's been, the Islanders have been weird on the ice, I think, whereas the rest of the league has been weird off the ice, and so I think that's part of what I was saying. I think as long as they can almost just keep their composure as an off off the ice as an organization, as a um, franchise, whatever. I think that's basically gold in the Eastern Conference this season because so many teams are just doing very strange stuff off the ice, personnel wise, management wise, PR wise. It's just like there's a lot of very strange things happening. So, as long as they can kind of color between the lines, and like show up to the game every game, I'm feeling okay about it. But as we keep saying, like these next two games are just they're to me the ones that are they feel like an inflection point a bit, especially with the Olympics coming and all that's going to come with that. And I'm pretty nervous just about that entire break itself too. So I feel like if you collect 4 points out of these next two games, like we're in such a good spot. And if you collect one, we're like, oh God, like this is the cell. All of a sudden, the cell chorus will start coming out back out, which will be annoying to listen to.
Yeah, seriously. We said off the top of the first half that all the Islanders have to do is stay normal, which of course is something they have never done ever in their entire history. But maybe this is the time. We'll see. But time will tell. And it's coming up very shortly because that Vancouver game is tonight on Monday. Okay, enough of that. We all know why you're here, and that is for what will surely be an absolutely incredible, epic, memorable, unbelievable edition of Master Leaf Theater. Okay, so in case you've been living under a rock this week, was the first meeting of the Leafs and their former player, Mitch Marner, in Las Vegas. The Leafs and Golden Knights played a game that ended in a 6-5 Vegas win in overtime. The Leafs had leads of 2-0, 3-1, 4-2, and 5-3, and then lost 6-5 in overtime. Marner actually had 3 assists, and he was booed very loudly in his own home arena by a bunch of traveling Leafs fans. We'll get back to that in a few minutes. But before all this happened, an article came out at The Athletic that has to be read to be believed. And if you need to read the entire thing because it absolutely defies belief. Mike was sent this article many times when it came out. He mentioned it to me like, oh my God, this article, people telling me about this. And Dom, you had this sent to you as well. And like you were saying that like normally, you are alerted to these things by us, but this one kind of came to you organically. And you were like, oh man, you guys got to do this. And I was like, don't worry, we're way ahead of you. But like, how did this come to you? And what'd you make of it the first time you read it?
I was just, I was browsing headlines and the headline itself, I think it was it's complicated that just, immediately raised them like, oh, here we go. Here's another, relationship article with the Leafs. And but yeah, like normally I see those things when you guys post them. And so as I'm reading it, like my jaw is just dropping throughout. And like the whole idea that I guess they saw fit to send someone on like a 3-day stalking trip to Vegas to follow them around is just so like perfectly Leafs and Leaf media. It's just tremendous.
Yeah, it was written in December. So they sent Jonas on assignment. They didn't just think, oh, why don't we just go when the Leafs are playing Vegas? That would make sense since you're probably going to be back there anyways, and that's the normal thing to do. And Jonas was like, no, this is way too important to be cluttered. I can't have Luke Fox Jukebox and Chris Johnston, getting involved here. I need to have them all to myself. And and yeah, stalking trip is a great way to put it because this, Dan, you called this the main event of the second half. I would say that this is the main event of the entire history of Master Leaf Theater at this point. And Jonas Siegel is, I'm sure you figured that out by now. That's the article we'll be paying homage to here. Is he's become sort of like he was so at the forefront of Master Leaf Theater during the Kyle Dubas era because he would write stuff like this about Dubas all the time, and then he slowed down to the point where he's now like he's almost like if Aaron Judge was just like a pinch hitter kind of guy. Like he's like a moments player now. He shows up and he knocks it out of the park. And the two most unbelievable, as in like they beggar belief, Master Leaf Theaters, they belong to him, which was the Kyle Dubas article when he was fired, and he wrote about how the front office at the Ford Performance Center was grief stricken for for thousands of words. And now this one, because they are written from the same wheelhouse.
Right.
It feels like those two articles are perfect. Kind of, when we've had our first class of Master Leaf Theater Hall of Fame inductees, and we're inducting Jonas, and we're like going through the hits. It's going to be that one. It's going to be this Marner one, and then there's probably one or two more that'll come in this series of his, and we don't have to keep going to the well with him like we do with. He's not as prolific volume wise as the Luke Fox jukeboxes, but boy, when he shows up, it's
he brings it.
I don't know who the director would be. It's almost like Daniel Day-Lewis, how he just kind of like one film every
right. Yeah,
and they're as dramatic. I wouldn't be shocked if Jonas is thinking of Daniel Day-Lewis when he's writing these.
Whereas Luke Fox is more like a Ray Fiennes thing. Like Ray Fiennes shows up in like 4 movies a year, and you're like, how much does this guy ever take a vacation or something? Why is he in so many movies? But there is a reason that we dubbed in an earlier edition of Master Leaf Theater, we dubbed Jonas Siegel the Charles Dickens of Master Leaf Theater, and that is because even in the best of times, Jonas sees it as the worst of times. That is his calling card. Again, if Luke Fox Jukebox is the Jane Austen of Master Leaf Theater, whose work is just so perfect for this format, Jonas brings the same thing, but just a different flavor. And so we are back in that wheelhouse right now with an article that, and again, I beg of you, please go read this entire thing. You don't need a subscription. Just download the reader view for Chrome and then just click reader view, and you can read anything you want at The Athletic. Don't tell anybody I said that.
Dom pointed something out here, which I thought that the same thing when I was first read it was like, oh, it's not going to get better than the headline. This headline's unbelievable. I don't even know if I need to read any more of this. And then, and then you read more and you're like, oh my God, this to literally, quite literally, the very last word, this thing gets better and better and better.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. The title though is perfect, and it is Inside Mitch Marner's Life After the Maple Leafs. It's complicated. So already we are into a very strange sort of netherworld here. And notice the title isn't Mitch Marner's life as a Vegas Golden Knight. It's after the Maple Leafs, because the Leafs are the only team that matters. Vegas doesn't really matter in this scenario. It's just the Leafs. And this is from the 14th, so it's from a few days ago. It was before the game that happened, and at that point, anything could have happened. And of course, we'll get into the game itself again in a little bit. But I've selected a few excerpts here that I think really capture it. The whole thing could be read here, but we don't want to get the Athletics lawyers mad at us. But Dom, as our special guest, why don't you read the first 2 sections here? I think that they're from different parts. There's a couple of paragraphs in between the two of them, but I think they make sense together. So why don't we start there with just these first 2 sections of this story?
Oh, it's my honor. Okay. The picture that emerged from a 3-day visit last month to Nevada is that finding happiness in the desert hasn't come easy either. The 28-year-old looked and sounded somewhat out of his element, unsettled and isolated in his new life, and missing home in more ways than one. His transition, on and off the ice, has been far from seamless. His split from the Leafs and from Toronto has been complicated. Marner has always tried to seek out joy wherever he could find it during the long NHL season. Despite his best efforts, it's evident that he's still trying to locate it here, in Vegas, his new home, with the Golden Knights, his new team. Asked just that, if he was happier these days, Marner responded, "Here?" before adding, "I was happy regardless."
That was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Phenomenal. And this right here is my favorite kind of sports article, and particularly Master Leaf Theater article, which is basically the writer coming in with the idea that this thing is true. And then every single quote and every single thing in the article pointing to the fact that this is not true. And so this article is literally 2,000 words of Jonas Siegel saying Mitch Marner's not happy here, and then Mitch Marner himself and all of his teammates and his coach being like, "Yeah, no, he's doing great. Like he's really happy." It just cracks me up. And this is right from the very beginning. This is the first part of the article. So, like, Dom, what do you make of this whole thing? I just find this kind of stuff so funny when it's like, this is true, and then everybody's like, no, not really.
Right. I just love how desperate it is to make it clear that, this isn't working, or this is going to be very difficult, or it just read like that sort of, my ex, she's actually not happy there. I don't know what her friends are saying, but she really is not happy without me.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, you're right.
It reads like somebody visiting maybe like a youth or someone who's at like boarding school or like military academy. In the way he's like, oh, it's a tough adjustment, like it's a tough adjustment there in the desert where they're, everything's so much harder than it is in Toronto. He's only got like 2 people asking him questions after games. And,
yeah, we'll get to that.
like all that stuff. And it's just, it feels like that's how he's writing it, as if he was flying to Vegas, as we said, on this 3-day. First of all, this is a retreat for Jonas. It feels like a spiritual retreat. He's also coming at it from that angle. And he on the plane, he was like, oh my God, I'm worried about Mitch. Like I'm worried that he, I'm thinking about him at night when he's sleeping there and in the barracks with his bunk mates, and maybe they're messing with him. Maybe he's not making his bed, and the boots, the drill sergeant's yelling at him. And all these things are showing up. And I tell you what, when Mitch says something like, yeah, I'm just like generally a happy guy anyways. Like I was going to be happy no matter where I was playing because I'm, professional hockey player. I make a lot of money. That's really him saying, bark twice if you need me to get you out of here, Mitch.
There's also
if he rolls his eyes, Myrtle, Pagnota, Luke Fox will all grab him and bring him back home.
There's also an element to this of like, you can't possibly be happy here, right? Like, there's no like, why? It's just, I'm sure it's fine. Like,
it's peppered with all these implicit, like classic Toronto slams of other markets.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Like, there's no snow. No.
Right. Yeah. There's all these palm trees, and he misses snow, and that was another great thing too. So he says he does miss the snow. He says, but he definitely doesn't miss the traffic on the Gardner Parkway or Expressway, whatever it is. He talks about having FaceTime mornings with his family members who he doesn't live near anymore, because it's important to note that for 28 years of his life, Mitch Marner lived and worked in Toronto. I mean, he was from there. He played for the Leafs. I mean, that was his home, and like he had to leave there. And now, as an adult, a husband, a married man with a kid, he's moved, and he's got with a new job, and he's got to find stuff out here. All of this is very normal. Like, if you're an adult. I left my parents' house at 26 to move in to an apartment in Brooklyn with my buddy Gio. And guess what? We didn't know anybody. We had to figure stuff. How do you get your laundry done? Because mom's not there to do it. We got to figure it out. So like, this is all very normal stuff. But of course, to a Leafs writer, a former Leaf going through this makes it, monumentally difficult. And as we've been saying, like, you can't possibly be happy here. Like, well, maybe he is. I don't know.
There's like a common trope especially in like British prestige period dramas where the like the hoity-toity duke or earl or the family of some lineage goes into a place where they the working class, right? Like they walk into a house of or home of somebody. Maybe it's like their daughter is falling in love with a newsie or something, and they go to like meet the family, and like they walk into the house, and like the stuck up parents like walk in, and they're like, yick, and they're like, you where your butlers and whatever. And it feels a little bit like that. Like Jonas is like he's like, they play hockey here,
right?
In the desert. and there's a great line in this too that as you were saying, to keep the barristers off our back, where Marner was talking about, he's like, yeah, one thing I don't miss for sure is the traffic. And then Jonas also had to caveat that by saying, like, although he did hear it's not as bad as it was. It wasn't. Oh, the traffic in Toronto got better in the 6 months that he's not lived there.
It's unbelievable. They have to stick up for it. It's crazy.
Yep.
But I'm glad you got there, because this is another thing too. I love, well, actually, and Dom, you mentioned it a minute ago. the concept that like a smaller media contingent means that the team isn't worthy of playing for is a Toronto only concept. Like to everybody else, there's a couple of guys following the team. I mean, hell, the Islanders only have like 3 dudes following the team, right? Like, and then a couple of team, employees, and that's about it. That's probably for the most part the way most teams have it, unless you're the Leafs or Canadians or maybe Oilers. That's about it. But for some reason, this is like a badge of honor that they have 8,000 rabid, drooling Jonas Seagulls following this team, and they're like lorded over people as if like anybody cares. And we get to this part here where Jonas has to make a big deal about this, even though it doesn't sound like a big deal to Mitch Marner at all. So Dom, if you would please read part 4 of this great article.
All right. The media contingent, and by extension, the media pressure, is significantly less here too. When I made my way into the Golden Knights dressing room following practice, Marner was being interviewed in front of his stall by exactly one reporter from Fox 5 News. Many of the small cluster of media are employed by the team itself. No irony there. Marner found that shocking at first, the lack of cameras and microphones around. Not necessarily better or worse, just different. It's been weird, Marner said of his new life in Vegas, but nice.
So again, it's like, how can you live with only 3 reporters in front of you? I don't know. It's nice. Like, I don't know. I mean, Dom, you're in St. Louis. I mean, the Blues don't have a ton of media either, and this is a team that's been around for 60 years, right? Like,
right. It's driven me crazy always. Like this applies to other Canadian markets a bit too, but like especially Toronto, the refusal to like acknowledge or admit that hockey in the NHL is like the number 4 sport or a niche sport like throughout North America, and like then doing that to cast judgment on all these other markets that are like, you're dealing with people who are rabid about this sport that a lot of people don't care about.
Yeah.
and for me, I'm like, no, it's great. NFL coverage is kind of over the top. I'm good with my sport not having as many maniacs trying to fill the air with whatever they can.
Yeah, seriously.
This is brilliantly written. It starts from my favorite kind of subtle part of this section is how he writes, when I made my way into the Golden Knights dressing room, as if he like snuck in, like he's like it was like a scene out of a spy drama, and he's like jigging handles, and he's like, oh my god, there's only one reporter, or he's like dressed in incognito, like a maybe he's like dressed up like a Golden Knights like the equipment manager. He's got he's snuck a windbreaker out of a locker and like donned it to disguise himself so he could see that there's only one reporter from Fox 5 News, and
or he like had to bust through like a line and like a velvet rope. He's like, okay, look, step aside. I'm coming here from the Athletic.
Right.
Made my way, fought my way into the Golden Knights locker room where everybody's like, oh, hey, what's going on? Like,
oh yeah, I hope you stood next to this reporter from Fox 5 News who's probably like, hey, Mitch, like, how's it feel to like play against your friends? And Jonas is like giving him the side eye, like, are you kidding me with that question? Are you not going to ask him about the traffic?
Right.
This is a guy who's at the resort to FaceTime mornings, and you're going to ask him that? Oh God.
We are going to get to this too in a little bit. I forgot to include this in our notes, by the way, but I would talk to you guys both about it. But the media thing also came up on an episode of Kipper and Bourne. It's actually multiple times where they're like, it's almost like he wants to play in a place where he doesn't get the media treatment. It's like, yeah, okay. And like, again, like that's not a bad thing. I don't understand why that's considered to be a terrible thing. Like, it's so funny to me that they use this as like a point of pride. And it's like, no, this is actually kind of insane. That you have 1,000 guys rifling through Austin Matthews' trash to find out what he bought this week on Amazon. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But
this is also the paragraph, I think, where it's, if you're not really understanding what we mean, but when we always bring up that these guys write articles, thousands of words, and then every quote disagrees with the actual theme of the article.
Right.
And as an editor, the Athletic is owned by the New York Times. Like, the New York Times has editors, and they're going through line by line of every story that hits the site. And there's 2 lines here, and it's about the media, and it says, Marner found it shocking at first, the lack of cameras and microphones around. Not necessarily better or worse, just different. And then the quote is, "It's been weird, but nice." So no, the exact opposite of what he's not necessarily better or worse, just different. No, he just said, "It's been nice. It's been better." Like,
Right.
and once again, and he also doesn't mention once, again, this is another thing they never do, which is when they talk about the media and the pressure from the media. Jonas, you are the media applying pressure to this guy right now. He's not even on the team anymore.
I know, right? Yeah. You literally flew from Toronto to Vegas to apply media pressure to this man because you didn't think he was getting enough. But so there's another quote here that's exactly what you were talking about. And this gets to like Mitch Marner's play on the ice this year. Like, how is he doing? And I love this. Another thing that Toronto, they've done this on Kipper and Bourne. They've done this in the Athletic. Mitch Marner is on pace for a low scoring season. He's still on pace for like a 90-point season, right? Like this guy's on pace for like one of the better, probably a top 10, maybe 15, 20 scoring season in the NHL. Like that's really good, but it's not enough for the Leafs. Dom, if you will, part 5, excerpt 5 of this kind of brings all that on ice stuff into sharp focus.
Bunch it all together, new teammates, new system, changes in deployment, Vegas's occasional scoring struggles amid a challenging season that's only started to get better recently. And it makes sense that Marner is having his worst offensive season since he was a 20-year-old sophomore with the Leafs. Obviously, a lot of people just look at the offensive stuff and want you to put up a bunch of points. That's what you want from yourself as well, in a way, Marner said. But I'm really happy with the defensive side of it.
So he's having a terrible offensive season, but he's happy. He's happy with how he's playing. I just don't know what's going on. I would be totally happy having the season that Mitch Marner is having for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I think Leafs fans probably would too, or they would use it to run him out of town again.
Yeah. And it like echoes all the, the nonstop debates that they would have that probably drove him out of town. That it's just like, here's a really good offensive player who also happens to have really good, defensive habits. But we're going to fault him for every playoff series loss and send him out.
Yeah, right.
And this is the part of the article where I'd remind you that if the shoe is on the other foot and big time free agent, I don't know if this has ever happened before, walked out on a certain team and then signed with the Maple Leafs, and he was putting up the type of numbers that Mitch Marner was, they'd be like, this is working like gangbusters. Like, this guy's having an amazing season. He's doing everything we ask. He's so good defense. The numbers might not tell the whole story, but they're still good. But because it's the other way around, he's having his worst season since he was a sophomore. And yeah, like maybe on pace, he's gonna end up in the mid 80s or or just 90 points. It's his first season, as you said, Dan. It's his first time away from Toronto in his entire life, and he's still putting up these kind of numbers with a completely new team in a completely new country, hours and hours away from home. That if this was the other way around, people would be like, this is the bravest thing we've ever seen. This guy left the United States, came to complete culture shock, and he's still putting up these kind of numbers. Can you believe it? But no, Jonas is able to get to what really is going on here, both in his head, on the ice, and it's been a very challenging season for the first place Golden Knights for sure. Too.
I mean, obviously Jonas's idea behind writing this was to, get everybody to understand that Mitch is not, he says he's happy, but he's really not. And I gotta tell you, with all due respect, he did a very poor job of making that reality happen, because it just does not come off that way at all. And later on, he talks to his teammates, talks to Bruce Cassidy, but he also talks to Mark Stone and Jake Muzzin, who of course was one of Marner's teammates in Toronto. And they both said that, like, these are guys that have moved around a lot. Obviously Stone, that was an enormous trade coming from Ottawa to Vegas. And they're both like, yeah, it takes time to get comfortable. It just happens. I mean, certainly, I'm sure, I don't remember an article coming out like this when Mark Stone got traded from the Senators to the Golden Knights. And I'm sure it was the same feel, and then it gets to, like, at one point, Jonas is like, it's hard to know what to do. And where do you go for lunch? Who do you hang out with? It's like, yeah, I know that's what you do as an adult who now has a new job in a new city. You just figure it all out. And it gets into more stuff like Marner. He went to go to see a UFC event with a bunch of teammates. He and his wife hosted their damn Halloween party. at his house in the basement. Marner's like, hey, come to my house. We'll have a Halloween party. This does not sound like a man who is having trouble fitting in.
He's having it. Once again, it feels like a parent being like, I'm worried he's not making friends. And
Right.
then and being like, oh, he's not making any friends. We got to bring him home. We got to bring him home from college or from boarding school because he's just not making any friends. And then go to visit him. He's like, no, I'm having the time of my life, actually.
Right, yeah.
You wouldn't believe, like, they treat us like kings here. We flew to a golf, like the owner has a golf resort in Montana. We went to a UFC fight. I had the Halloween party at my house. It's been going great. And then the line is just like, yeah, he's really having trouble fitting in.
I mean, I think you guys are deliberately avoiding some other key facts here, though. That he's only visited Red Rock Canyon a couple of times.
Because he's not much of a hiker, Jonas points out. He's not much of a hiker.
And I think despite the commercials for dog food, like, it's clear he's not enjoying walking his dog as much there.
He's just like really confused. You can picture him in the desert with like a tumbleweed flying by him and his dog and being like, I need the snow. Right. I miss when I was walking my dog in the 6 and Luke Fox Jukebox would just be like, hey, Mitch, you got a second? I know you're just walking your dog, but you got a second? I saw your new secret handshake with Austin, with Poppy. I want to do a story on it.
Yeah. I just, like you just said, like, I picture in my head the parents being like, oh, I'm just afraid he's not making any friends. And then they pull up at the house and it's literally a Halloween party going on.
Yeah.
Everybody's all dressed up. Like,
hey, can you come back tomorrow? We're in the middle of a party.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and then one of them, I forget what teammate was like, the Mariners dressed like basically the cast of The Hangover, with the baby and everything. And they were like, oh yeah, that was hilarious. Again, it's just so funny that he keeps trying to say that like Mitch isn't happy here, but all the evidence points to the contrary. And that brings us to the grand conclusion.
Yeah. Before you do, I cannot stress how unbelievable this is. I can't. Once again, this is a media property owned by the New York Times, and this article ends with this particular question, which has to go down as I don't know, the dumbest. I have no idea how this is ever, and it's written from an attitude of like, I asked a tough question, like Barbara Walters or something asking this question. Like I'm like doing like the cartoon thing when someone sees something and they can't believe it and they like rub their eyes. I'm like, what? He really wrote that and passed it off as if it was not only totally normal, but was such a resounding, prominent thing that I'm going to end my article like this and be proud of it. So yeah, get into it. It's just unbelievable.
I'll try to read this with a straight face. Feelings haven't healed just yet either. Asked if he would still cheer for the Leafs, the team he grew up rooting for long before he was drafted in 2015. The team he became a star for. The team he grew up with. The team where some of his closest friends in hockey remain. Marner said no. I don't root for any team other than my own, said Marner. I'm only rooting for my team. That's who I want to win. This is home now.
Oh my God. It's dumb is one word to put it, but just like, what did you expect him to say? I just don't understand. Like, what did he expect him to say? Like, yeah, of course I'm pulling for the Leafs until they play us, I guess, which I guess would be the normal thing. But he's like, no, this is like, I'm here now. This is my team. Why would I root for that? This is a thing. This is a question only a Leafs fan could ask. And the good news is they all work for the Athletics. So this is crazy.
Can you imagine a Cincinnati Red?
Right.
Longtime Cincinnati Red moves to the Seattle Mariners and somebody asks him, hey, you still rooting for the Cincinnati Reds? Like no, you cannot. I cannot imagine any other media contingent fan base not only asking this question, but then ending an article about how unhappy this player is in this new home with it. And thinking that this is what drives home that point. Like, yeah, I told you he's not happy. He's not even rooting for the Leafs anymore. Can you believe it?
Right.
Jonas, he is employed by a team that is in direct conflict with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That'd be like somebody going from Pepsi to Coke and being like, but you're still rooting for Pepsi to win, right? Like you got all your friends there and I'm there and like we need them to win. Like, no, I work here. Like, this is my team now. That it's I think if in like the late 90s, early 2000s, when New York sports media like had some serious heft to it, if this question was asked by somebody the next day, like Mike and the Mad Dog would be like, I don't know who from the New York Daily News asked that question, but they need to be arrested, hand in their credentials, and never be allowed to cover the sport again. And I think that publication would be like, yeah, they do, and we will make sure that they're now covering, the Binghamton Mets or something, because this is I guess dumb isn't even the right word. Unprofessional, I think, is the word, right? Like it's just so unprofessional and bizarre and otherworldly, and Jonas thinks it's actually like groundbreaking.
And like with a 10-year veteran, like I'm trying to picture like when James Higgins like makes the Bruins and his verse, and like Andrew Gross being like, so are you still cheering for the Islanders?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. It's just unbelievable. This, like, we've talked about it a couple of times, and like, there's one of my favorite tweets of all time is by an account called Bonk's Mullet. It was a Senators fan account. I don't think he posts anymore, but he had the tweet that the Leafs definitely lead the league in writers who say, I'm not a fan, I'm an objective journalist, I only watch the Leafs and high five the entire press box every time they score goals. Like, this is that in actual practice. Like, this is the exact kind of tweet, the exact kind of like writing that tweet kind of covers, in that nobody but a Leafs fan would even think to ask this question. If you're an actual journalist, you would never ask this. But like, this is Jonas, the Leafs fan, being like, please tell me you're still rooting for the Leafs, Mitchie. I need to know we're still on the same team here,
Don't tell me I traveled this whole way to find out that you're not rooting for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, oh my God. You still have your jerseys though, right? You still have your stuff.
I like that, like, that's just a sign that the feelings haven't healed just yet.
Yeah.
I'll come back to cheering soon.
Don't worry. Yeah, he's still trying to figure this all out. But by this time next year, he's going to come to a couple games, maybe play a couple games. No, I think it, and also you're taught as a writer that your lead, your conclusion, and your headline are kind of all supposed to they're supposed to be what the article's about, right? It's supposed to be the soul of the article. So this article is titled, or its whole theme is about it being complicated. He hasn't come around to forgiving the Leafs, and I'd argue that there's absolutely nothing complicated about this. This just reads like a guy who is having incredibly normal experience that every athlete basically goes through at some point. And it's so normal that he does the most normal thing that a professional athlete does, which is he roots for his own team. There's really nothing complicated about this. And that's the sign that this is home. Yeah. That he's rooting. You wouldn't believe it, but he's rooting for the Vegas Golden Knights. Imagine he came another like trope from a TV show or movie is, especially one about when there's like a journalist or a reporter involved. He like storms into the editor's office. He's like, slams his notepad down. You won't believe it, James. He's rooting for the Knights. I gotta get to my typewriter.
Stop the presses. Stop the presses.
He's rooting for the Knights.
He's rooting for the Knights. Oh my God. Right. Like the returns coming in. So now, in fairness, the Leafs aren't exactly rooting for the Vegas Golden Knights either. Believe it or not, they're rooting for themselves. And we found that out pregame. I think it was Thursday night was the game. And this is where, so thank you, Jonas Siegel, for that incredible piece, by the way. But now we need to move on to a couple of others. And one of them comes from TSN's Mark Madden, the guy who somehow gets the reputation for, quote unquote, asking the hard questions. And in this case, the hard question was whether or not Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner shared a glance during warm-ups before the game. Apparently Marner tossed a puck Matthews' way. Matthews didn't really have a response to it. Anyway, this is a video daily double, so we're going to let Mark Masters take it away right here, and let's hear what Matthews' response is.
And Mitch, the last two out in warm-ups per usual, send a puck your way there at the end. What was it like seeing him over there?
I didn't look over. I don't know. So, yeah, I think I've had enough of the Mitch questions for the day, Mark. So, yeah, let's just get ready for the game and go from there.
Message received.
So, yeah, basically Matthews is like, I don't want to answer any more Mitch Marner questions, which is also an incredible thing to say because he's gone. Like, they didn't want to ask. I don't think the Islanders really wanted to answer a lot of John Tavares questions, and I don't think they got that many, to be honest. But although maybe they did, I don't remember. But I thought this was hilarious. Of course, like any other Leafs thing, this was analyzed and beaten to death. Dom, did this come? I know I sent this to you before this, but did you see this beforehand? And like, what did you think of this? I thought this whole clip was hilarious. This got sent to me in a couple of group chats too, and I just thought it was the funniest thing. I was
like, no, I hadn't seen it, so I was giggling about it. Just
he was doing this during the summer. Mike, you and I talked about this. I think we did another article about this, and just he doesn't want to talk about it. I don't know how many ways he can say it.
I think he said you got like 2 more days to ask these questions, and then you're done or something like that, right? Like, I don't want to hear about it. And I will say, like, yeah, I'll defend Mark Masters to this degree, which is, you got to ask the question about Mitch Marner. You got to ask a Mitch Marner related question in this situation. And I think Austin Matthews should know, and he probably did know, like, I'm going to get asked a question about Mitch Marner. Now, my defense will end right there because he didn't ask a normal question about Mitch Marner. He once again did the most Toronto sports media thing, which is like they noticed the little friendship bracelets that these guys wear or make, or like they're Luke Fox, Juke Fox is famous for just noting that William Nylander's, if he's wearing clothes or not. Like, you can do these things normally and just say like, hey, Willie, you had a great game tonight. And instead of being like Willie Nylander with sweat glistening down his tarpless torso, like it's you don't need to go that far. And Masters decides to go with the, hey, Poppy, I saw you and Mitchie there. We're doing your cool little thing. And he was the last one off the ice. And then he threw you a puck. And I know you guys have like a little tradition that goes way back. I think it goes back to like October 8th against the Senators. That was the first time you ever did it. And did you notice that? He's like, no, I didn't. And had Mark Masters not asked a question like a 13-year-old meeting Britney Spears in like 1998 and just was like, hey, did you and Mitch happen to like pass each other during warmups or anything like that? I don't think Austin Matthews would have had this kind of answer, that kind of question. Because once again, bringing up, we'll use the Cincinnati Reds and Seattle Mariners. If for some reason a really good player goes from one of those teams to the other and they play each other, I don't think that player is going to be asked a question about a secret handshake or a warm-up ritual. They'll just be like, yeah, what was it weird seeing your best friend on the other team? And they'd be like, yeah, it was. And that would be the end of this interaction.
Right.
But these guys just have to prove that they are watching these guys at all times.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I saw, and I know. Did you guys still both eat the same breakfast in the morning? I know at the Ford Performance Center, you both like the banana with a little bit of oatmeal bran and.
Right. I bet in Vegas the reporters don't even know that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Hey, have you been asked about your about Mitchie's warm up ritual in Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh God, these guys must walk through. Once we'll bring up another trope, like a high school movie, like Mean Girls. Like they always have those like montage of like the clique walking through a hallway at a school, and like everyone, slow motion, like Masters, Luke Fox, and all these guys walking through like these non-hockey market buildings together.
They're like the guys in Tombstone. Like, it's like Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton, all these guys, Val Kilmer, all walking slowly down, down the OK Corral, ready to bombard these guys with bullets, But it's just so fun. And you're right. I think the warm up ritual was what ticked Matthews off in the first place, which was like you got 2 more weeks to ask these, because I think it was like, what are you going to do for warm ups without Mitch there?
It was.
Like, I don't know, warm up. Like,
this was a 4-month follow up question.
Right. Yeah. It's just, I think you're right. I think if Masters had asked something general, like, did you say anything to Marner before? He'd probably be like, no, we're just, getting ready for the game. Right. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But like, to be like this, like was the knowing glance that he sent you.
He reminds me of that commercial a little bit, the berries and cream guy. He's like berries and cream, like just like doing a little jig. I'm like, dude, just be an adult with a job and ask him a question that a very normal question that he's expecting to be answered. And
Speaking of questions, so as I said, the Vegas Knights beat the Leafs 6-5 in overtime. Marner had a pretty good game. Didn't score, but he had 3 assists. The Leafs blew a bunch of leads, which they love to do. And this, of course, brought about a whole new wave of articles. We're not going to get into too many of them. We do have one coming up, but it brought up a lot of, oh my God, what does this all mean? They kind of blew it here. This was I think there was an article at The Athletic that said it was they left the game disappointed and confused a little bit, which is probably a little bit much. I didn't notice them saying anything like that about when they lost in overtime. They blew a bunch of leads and lost in overtime to the Islanders a few weeks ago because they were too busy talking about Matthews becoming the Leafs all-time leading scorer, but whatever, we'll let that go. But the next day on the Real Kipper and Bourne show on Sportsnet, a show that Mike and I like to listen to, they do their bit. They do an hour just on the Leafs, and then they do a national hour. And at the end of the Leafs hour, they do a Leafs line where they open up the phone lines and people can call in and ask questions. And they get some great questions from all over the place. And a lot of Canada. If you ever want to hear great Canadian accents, you definitely got to hear these bits because these people have some amazing accents, particularly in the Maritimes. But there was one person who called in, not from Toronto or even from Canada at all. He was billed as a Mike from Long Island. So let's go to the clip of Kipper and Bourne and the call from Mike from Long Island.
We'll go for Mikey in Long Island because I hate myself.
Is anyone going to point out the hypocrisy of the Leafs fans being praised for traveling to Vegas and booing Marner after years of calling us barbarians on the island for booing Tavares? Love the show. Love Kipper.
Wow, that's probably the first one in 2 years that you put one where they're not.
It's not a Sammy.
It's not a Sammy. Why isn't Sammy in the name of the show?
Love Kipper.
That's so unfair. That's so unfair.
Listen, I didn't mind the booing. I don't mind booing per se. Okay, forget about Marner and Lee, but it's just part of the right every fan has to go to a game, and I gotta believe that whether it's Mitch or anyone else who might be a little bit more sensitive to it, man, it should just thicken your skin a little bit, It should just make you that much tougher and more resilient.
I will say, so I think this caller is my boy, Mikey from Long Island. I think he wants some validation for Islanders fans for booing Tavares all these years and continuing to boo.
Boy, it is always about the Leafs, though, eh? Mikey from Long Island calling into a Leaf show to get his little Leaf thoughts off. Like, think about us more, bud. Holy smokes. Embarrassing.
Hey.
That's embarrassing.
He's thinking about Islanders fans.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the big Leaf show. We're going to call them.
The thing that Islanders fans are most proud of is that they booed Tavares so mercilessly that Toronto declared John Tavares Day in the city.
One of the most embarrassing moments in the history of this city.
Greatest shames as
Clearly.
a city.
Yeah.
That happened. Like
Mitch, they'll be like, they'd go to the city hall in Vegas. They'd be like, who's Mitch Marner?
But Islander fans.
Does he have a residency?
Wayne Newton's backup dancer?
Tavares leaving the Islanders compared to Mitch leaving Toronto, like Tavares leaving the Islanders was like a bullet through the head. No one saw it coming. Mitch, we had talked about Mitch leaving a year in advance. It's not really apples to apples.
Yeah, I mean...
Right? I mean, Tavares misled, really. At the end of the day, he had quotes that said, I'm not thinking about leaving.
There's no... Yeah, I mean...
And Mitch never did that.
No, but he did say, of course he'd like to stay and all that sort of stuff. And with Tavares, there was no certainty that he was coming back. It was tense times for Islanders fans. So it's...
No, everybody thought he was coming back. Nobody thought he was going to leave. And that's what really stung them.
Yeah, I think some people thought he might. I don't know. I thought he might.
I will say that I would like to put it on the record that I have never been against the Islanders fans for booing John Tavares. This city talking about anybody getting booed for a long period of time is always hypocritical to me. Like, we booed Vince Carter literally mercilessly for his whole career until we put his number in the rafters, for God's sake. So, like, I don't have any problem with any fan base booing any player. I honestly give the Islanders fans credit for still doing it. Like, that's real fandom. They care. I love that. So,
But it's like it happened yesterday to them.
I love it.
They're really upset.
and
I
that's
didn't
what it's
think
going
it
to be
was
like.
going to be like that. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I remember talking to Clark
It's the misleading part.
Gillies, yeah, and him being like, yeah, he was on board with the booing.
It used to work before where you could fake that you wanted to stay and then just leave. But then social media took over.
He's going to get, I think he's going to get booed mercilessly on next Friday.
Oh,
I do.
It's tough to think anything but that after it happens on the road.
And knowing what we know about him, I think of a lot of guys in the league that it would probably affect him a lot.
So I was listening to this live, which I almost never do, but I mean, it was a half day, so I was off and I was listening live. I wasn't really going anywhere. And even though I've been on a podcast with you for 10 years, I did not recognize your voice. I hate to admit that, but I didn't. I wasn't really paying attention. I noticed the Long Island thing, and I was like, boy, that's kind of weird. And of course, the question, got me. I was like, oh, wow, this guy really gets it. And then I realized why he got it, because it's you. And it wasn't until Bourne was like, I think this is my boy, Mike. And that's when I was like, no. And I texted you. I'm like, dude, was that you? And you were like, yes, it was. I was like, oh, my God, you're an absolute legend. How did you come to the conclusion to do this? Why did you do this? And have you heard from Bourne since you did this, or anybody from the show for that matter?
I was like getting really angry at how nobody was bringing up the fact that the Leafs fans were getting like all this praise for flying to Vegas, going to a road game, booing this player, and like showing the passion and whatever. Somebody told me that on 32 Thoughts that this was a sign that the Leafs fan base has their swagger back. And it was just pissing me off because for 8 years now, we have been painted like, I think I said barbarians on there, and I think that's probably the right word. Like we're like ragged animals, whatever, the unwashed, for doing this the same exact thing, with one big caveat, which gets pointed out a lot, and Mike Calarco, a dear listener of ours, pointed this out too, which is they never bring up the main difference here, which is that you guys ran this star player out of town. Islander fans would do anything to keep that star player out of town. That never comes up ever. And nor does the fact that, hey, we just spent 8 years lampooning this other fan base for doing this kind of stuff. It's a little hypocritical if we were to say like, this is great. This is great theater. We need more of this in hockey. Like, no, you literally for 8 years said we need less of this, but only from this fan base.
Right.
So it got me so agitated that I tried to like back channel it getting brought up through whatever, and I realized it wasn't going to happen because the people I was talking to, they just like weren't picking it up. So I was like, I just gotta call the Leaf line. I have to call the Leaf line. And because if I don't, I'm going to be so pissed off that they don't come to realize it. And when I called in, like when I used to call into my good buddy Mike Francesa's show on WFAN, I would always call in as Butchie from Long Island, and I would always semi-disguise my voice, which I was doing. I like clicked back into that mode here, even though I've got no reason to do it because whatever. But so I think that's part of why it maybe took a second for you to click that it was me. And the other thing is that the voicemail, like the message machine intro, it kind of cuts abruptly. So I was like formulating my process in my head of how I wanted to get my point across, and all of a sudden it was like ding, and I was like, oh shit, like now I got to just go because I can't just be like, hold on, I'm gonna call you back and then do it all over again. So because I really wanted to put some more flowers at Kipper's feet for being right about everything, but I just couldn't get that all together. But and I thought that they sort of got what I was trying to say. Wasn't that like, hey, Islander fans are so cool for booing Tavares? It was that, no, you guys made us feel like we were criminals and deserved to be locked up for that and maybe kicked out of the league. And the Islanders have to play behind closed doors for the rest of the season because of the way they acted. And they sort of got it. Like, they're like, yeah, it is hypocritical, whatever. But I did like that they brought up the Tavares de Toronto, which is the first time I think I've ever heard them realize, like any media contingent in Toronto be like, that was embarrassing, because it was so embarrassing.
Right. Yeah, that was really good. It's funny to me that like now everybody wants to be like, I've never given the Islander fans grief for doing that. I think it's really cool. It's like, did you really though? So I don't know. I just thought this was really, really funny. And Dom, I sent this to you, and I don't know what was your reaction when you heard this, and you're like, oh my God. I mean, you listen to the show. Did you realize it was Mike? I did not. I am very embarrassed by it.
I did. There's some inflection that I recognize. I'm like, oh, this is great. But I liked Kipper's response to kind of acknowledging it. And it reminded me though, I mean, this is not the same, but I think Kyprios was on the team when like Leafs fans ran Larry Murphy out of town by booing him mercilessly. Like they still had Gilmore and Sundin and all but like this guy was the problem. And then he of course promptly won cups with Detroit.
Right.
The record here is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And it's not just the fans. It's well, it is the media is the fans, but it's like it's everybody ran this guy out of town. It's they all decided like, yeah, we're just gonna make this guy's life hell because whether it's because his dad doesn't like me or because we need a scapegoat in this town. It's a town that is desperate for a scapegoat or market, I should say, at all times. Like I think we had this conversation about the Islanders, which is like we have guys who are like, he's not doing anything, and I feel like whatever, but we never ran any of them. We didn't run Oleg Kvasha out of town, right? We didn't. Mark Eaton was terrible for us. We weren't like, God, get boo when he was on the team. We were like, hey, thanks for showing up to work again today. Like, we really appreciate it, because if you could have easily just been like, I don't want to play for the Islanders anymore, because people do that, and so we just have never done that to my knowledge, at least.
Nor treating them like, well, that he's the reason we're not winning the cup.
Right. The guy who's scoring 99 points for us this season, he's got to go.
Right.
He's the problem.
Islanders fans did not run Rick DiPietro out of town. They did not run Alexei Yashin out of town.
Right.
They did not run. Let's see. I mean, who else could have run out of town? I mean, there's a million guys. I mean, maybe Ron Hextall was kind of run out of town, but I don't think he was exactly wanted to be here. His regular season was fine. It's just the playoffs fell apart, and he was never really like, I think he was never embraced in the first place, because of his obviously connection to the Flyers. And so I guess he's about the closest you can say was run out of town, but that's about it. I mean, I know people are like, oh, the Islanders traded Luongo and Chara. They were too young. We didn't run them out of town. Yeah. They were just traded, by a madman general manager. Like, it's just, nobody ran Pierre Turgeon out of town. And if anything, the general manager ran him out of town, because he's like, oh, this guy's too finesse. We need some grit. And of course, the whole thing just went downhill from there, and it's like, so no, we don't. The Leafs have a much more vibrant history of running players out of town, and probably will continue to do that. And I just thought it was funny. But yeah, no, the call is great. Loving Kipper is great too, because obviously you and Bourne talk all the time, so he knows that's a joke. And Sam is like the Leafs fan guy on the show, the voice of the Leafs fan. So it's always funny that we do that. But there are Leafs fans that get it. We talked to our friend John Cullen, obviously for the Patreon, and he gets it. He understands, and I believe him when he says that he loves the fact that Islanders fans boo Tavares. I get that, but there are a lot of people, and honestly, most of those people write for the Athletic, that were like, these people are animals. They don't deserve this guy. This is why he left. Yeah. And they're still here writing these ridiculous articles, traipsing across the country to stalk Mitch Marner, as we said before. Okay.
It's been hard to nail down like the tweets from that night, just because Twitter's such a mess these days, and like the search feature is bad. But I have like a few that I've saved, and just in case that I can send to someone to juxtapose them on Twitter on when Marner returns. Maybe if there's like a snake thrown or anything thrown on the ice.
Oh my God.
Because my favorite one before we move on is that James Myrtle tweeted like that snakes hit the ice during warmups, and then the next tweet, here's the Tavares snakes ... I imagine more things will be thrown during play.
And remind me again, what team loves to throw jerseys on the ice?
Yes, that's what I said. There was no thing like by the way, like in the playoffs, somebody was throwing beers at Mitch Marner, like on the ice. They weren't, and it wasn't even Game 7. That was in Game 5. Like the series couldn't have ended that night.
Yeah, I definitely didn't make enough of it before, but yeah, Marner was booed throughout the game every time he touched the puck by visiting Leafs fans. frankly, for me, I think that's awesome. Like I do. I really give Leafs fans a lot of credit for traveling there, booing this guy. I think it's that shows a lot of a bit of what he's going to get when he comes to Toronto, which, by the way, is on Friday. So
it's also a lot of fun to just show up somewhere and boo somebody and yell at them.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's something that you can only do in sports. Like I can't just like go to a deli and start booing somebody, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I want to just, but when the Tavares game comes around every year, I'm like, when people are like, oh, you going tonight? I'm like, yeah, you just can't wait to yell at this guy. Like I can't wait to just go to this building with 15,000 other people and just scream at this guy and then go home to my kids.
Right. Now, the other side of that, now it is fun. No doubt about it. Booing. I remember booing Ron Hextall vividly when he came back to the Islanders as a Flyer. I have not been to a Leafs game at UBS Arena and gotten a chance to boo John Tavares in person. But what's funny is that I think sometimes the booing can have a different effect. And I don't think the Golden Knights have said this. I don't know. I'm obviously not in the locker room. I haven't forced my way into the locker room like Jonas Siegel has. But I'm guessing that the booing in their own building probably helped the Knights come back in this game more than once and then win in overtime. Because if I was a Golden Knight, I know I sure as hell wouldn't like somebody booing my own guy in my building. And I know this because I've obviously read a lot of Islanders history. And like in the first couple of years of the Islanders, when they played the Rangers, that place was, the Coliseum was like 75% Rangers fans. And guys like Ed Westfall and Dennis Potvin and Clark Gillies were sitting on the bench. And every time the Rangers scored, the place would erupt and they'd be like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, we got to fix that. We can't have that. And obviously over time, that they changed it. They changed everything around and it didn't happen anymore. But like that pissed them off. And I'm sure this pissed off the Golden Knights, and it's going to piss them off when they go to Toronto. And that's going to happen, but at least that's Toronto. Like they kind of get that part, but like in their own building, I guarantee as cool as it was, and as much as I enjoyed it, I guarantee that had an effect on the Golden Knights, and we're like, we're not losing this game to these in front of these people. Like we're not going to do that because that's a bitch move to be perfectly blunt. But the booing was obviously a story, and we will close this already epic edition of Master Leaf Theater with another short piece, and this comes from a guy we haven't talked about nearly enough in this segment, and that is Steve Simmons of the where's it? Oh, this Toronto Sun. He's still out there, still doing his thing, still a reviled voice in hockey circles by just about everybody. So congratulations, Steve. But he wrote an article, and I think Steve might be losing his fastball a little bit here, to be blunt, because the article isn't that good. But it's called Mitch Marner Will Be Cheered in Toronto, Just Not Now, Not Yet. And this also comes from the 14th, and it's basically about all the guys who we just talked about were run out of town by Toronto fans. Vince Carter being one of them, Matt Sundin, Wendell Clark, all these guys, Larry Murphy. And then they got cheered later on in their careers when they came back. And obviously Sundin now is getting cheers after Matthews, toppled his record. But when he signed with Vancouver, people turned on Matt Sundin in a very, very harsh way. But now they're back because they recognize Matt Sundin was a great player. And Simmons says that that's probably going to happen to Mitch Marner at some point. Frankly, I think this is nuts, but maybe he's right. I don't know. But the end of this is also just perfect for Master Leaf Theater. So Dom, if you will, please read the very end of this Steve Simmons article that kind of brings all this back around and again, tries to make Leafs fans feel a little bit better about hating this guy's guts if they can.
Sundin left the Leafs as a selfish, unpopular figure, just not anymore. That will be Mitch Marner in the future. There are no great memories of his time in Toronto, nothing to hang on to, other than his regular season brilliance and his records for scoring by a winger. He didn't think it was safe to live here anymore. He said that, which is about the most nonsensical narrative he has peddled upon his departure to Vegas. That will be forgotten over time, too. Sports fans are not like elephants. Elephants never forget.
This is, again, just defies belief. I don't think Steve is right, but maybe he will be. I don't know. But I know one thing, that I won't ever vote and stop booing John Tavares. So you can call me an elephant if you want, but I'm definitely never going to forget. This is, I don't know. What's your favorite part of this, Dom? The no great memories of his time in Toronto, other than all the great things he did, or the he didn't feel safe to live here anymore. He said that.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, those are both. And then like just the painfully explaining the tired elephant. Like,
Yep.
It's also great. A great way to end it. Oh my God.
He didn't think it was safe to live here anymore. He said that. He did also have his car broken into one night.
Right.
Like,
and had people show up at his house with his
he had
baby and his wife there.
Yeah, like people waking him up and his kid.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
So-
Don't forget too, we have not mentioned Mitch Marner's dad, Paul, who of course was a key character in the whole saga. I'm sure Paul had a few run-ins with some Leafs fans as well, because I'm sure his face was plastered all over the place.
There was a clip on the Leaf Report like last year. So while he was still on the team, and it was James and Jonas, and I'm pretty sure it was Myrtle who said this, that Marner's quote unquote like he's a part of some clandestine organization like the CIA or like the Mossad or something. He's got like a bunch of bodyguards, and apparently they what would you call it? Like leaned on James Myrtle. He's like, it's happened to me. I'm like, yes, James. Like Mitch Marner's thugs knocked on your door and we're like, you say one more thing about Mitch and I'm gonna break both your kneecaps. Like, no, that didn't ever happen. Ever.
It's like Goodfellas. This kid gets another letter from anybody. It's into the fucking oven. You go.
That's what he tried to like play it off as, because these guys they're doing the bravest thing. Like they're asking Austin Matthews if he glanced at Mitch Marner during warmups. It doesn't get braver than that. Spending 3 days with Mitch Marner, a very unhappy Mitch Marner in the desert. I might end up buried in the desert. This thing is great, and that last line is so funny because it just shows that these guys are they are Simmons. I will say he's not really a fan. Like he's more of like a throwback, kind of like gumshoey kind of guy that like, WFAN era sort of. But he's like, sports fans are not like elephants because elephants never forget. Like, no, I would say sports fans are famous for always remembering basically everything. Like that's what we do. We sit here, we talk about things that happened that you probably don't remember because you're not a fan. But this article, there was also an article like from the day the Islanders had that skate on the pond, and then like the next day Austin Matthews was like skating at some outdoor rink in Toronto. And I think that it's just important to bring that up because this article being playing second fiddle in Master Leaf Theater just tells you how good that Jonas Siegel article was. And like that we can't even get to the Luke Fox jukebox piece about how Austin Matthews was, could you believe it? And it was just so great because it was juxtaposed next to the Islanders thing. And none of the Islanders and the people that covered it didn't handle that about like, man, why wasn't I invited? And it was just written about like a normal thing that happened because that's what you're supposed to do. And but that just tells you how much of a tour de force that Jonas article was, because this one deserves a lot more time to really Zapruder film, because as you said, like it's got that brilliant bit about there's no great memories of his time at Toronto. He has this record, he's their best winger of all time. Yeah. And then the hard cut to, he also didn't think it was safe to live here anymore.
It's just unbelievable. But nobody can bring it home like Steve Simmons. So there you go. An absolutely incredible, epic, amazing edition of Master Leaf Theater. But that's not all, because we're going to put the Leafs on ice for a little while. We will be watching, obviously, the game on Friday in Toronto against the Golden Knights. But that's not the only team that we hate that made some news last week, which means a brand new installment of Ranger Piece Theater. In case you have missed it, and I don't think you did, another letter has dropped from the New York Rangers, who are punting again on another season. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, didn't they just put out a letter? Yes, they put out a letter in 2018. General manager at the time was Jeff Gorton. President was Glenn Sather, saying, we're going to rebuild. This season isn't it. We're going to, make moves for the future, probably lose a bunch of guys that we really like, but that's what's best for the franchise. That rebuild lasted all of one season because they drafted a guy first overall, the guy second overall, and then signed Artemi Panarin and Adam Fox. And the next thing you know, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals again because they're always just kind of there, basically. But now that rebuild has apparently come to an end, and the new general manager, or at least the guy who's in charge now, Chris Drury, has taken a page out of Glenn Taylor's book, literally, and sent out a letter saying that the team has to rebuild and look towards the future, and that means that we're going to lose some players here. And then it came out later that they're going to look to trade Artemi Panarin. They're not going to re-sign him. I think they wanted people to be like, wow, that's pretty good of it. Because the first letter, I think, was well received, and it was a pretty, interesting idea. This time, nobody's buying it. Like, everybody's like, come on. Like, this, we've done this already. We're not going to do this again, really. And I don't think anybody's buying that. Nobody wants Chris Drury in charge of a full Rangers rebuild, except for us, because we think he'll mess it up. Dom, will you want to do us the honors?
Oh, sure. I'll keep at it.
All right, go for it.
A message from Chris Drury to our fans. We wanted to take a moment to connect with a loyal and passionate fan base. We know and feel your disappointment with how the season has gone to this point. We are just as frustrated and want nothing more than to deliver an on-ice product you can be proud of. It's what drives us every day. No one in the organization is happy with what has transpired, from management to coaches to players. Over the last few years, we've had some successes and moments to cherish, but ultimately it was not the end goal. We're working relentlessly every day to bring a Stanley Cup back to New York because that is what our fans deserve.
I mean, that's a great opening. It sets up the fans for what's coming next. So what kind of players are the Rangers looking for? Well, we have some vague words that we're going to throw around, and this is what he says.
We're not going to stand pat. A shift will give us the ability to be smart and opportunistic as we retool the team. This will not be a rebuild. This will be a retool built around our core players and prospects. We will target players that bring tenacity, skill, speed, winning pedigree, with a focus on obtaining young players, draft picks, cap space to allow us flexibility moving forward. That may mean saying goodbye to players that have brought us and our fans great moments over the years. These players represented the Rangers with pride and class and will always be a part of our family.
God.
Fans love family. They love that kind of stuff. So this is a really unique idea. It's not a rebuild. It's a retool. That nobody's ever tried that before. And they want tenacity, skill, speed, and a winning pedigree in young players. Sure. Okay, great. Dom, when you saw this, I know it was the Lighthouse Hockey commentary. It was all over it. What was the first thing that went through your mind? I know for me, it was like, oh, they're doing this again, really?
Yeah. I think I saw things like, trending like Dolan and Drury. And so I was like, okay, what's going on? What happened? Right. And again, it was like opening another gift. And just that chicken sink approach in the middle paragraph of right. These are the kinds of players. Now, after everything we've been through, these are the kinds of players we're going to target. And it's every positive attribute you can imagine.
It's unbelievable. This is it's like the people that are like, well, he's got to be 27 or under. Okay, well, some guys are not 27 and under. I'm sorry to tell you that, but Mike, what did you make of this one? First of all, where did you first hear of the letter? How did it first come to you, and then what did you make of it?
I don't even remember. All I know is that it kind of just hit me from a lot of different angles at the same time. Mm-hmm. In my head, it sounded like the Islanders just scored a goal in 2002, Gary Glitter playing, and big air horn, and that's what's going in my head as I'm reading this. Although Dom's reading, now I know what it would sound like if John F. Kennedy was GM of the of the Rangers. It was wonderful. I could have.
Yes, the voice is amazing.
I wish it was going for hours and hours. I could have just.
I should confess, I've never heard Drury talk, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I think it was perfect, and your opening was great too because it felt very. That's how I read it too. It felt like almost he was threatening and or. A message from Chris Drury to our fans, very and reading it, I'm like, this is just so good because it's a complete nothing burger when you actually look at it. If it was a thing, these things end up becoming thing. I'm sure that another team will now send a letter and be like, should we do that? And the owners are billionaires. They're very. They don't understand what it's like to be a boots on the ground fan, and how these things are actually perceived in the real world. So they'll see this and be like, "Oh, if the Rangers are doing it, maybe we should do it." And I think that if you were to draft like a formulaic one, it would just be this, which is, "Hey, we're not playing well. Here's our super secret plan to get better. We're going to get good players." And if we can't get good players, we're going to get young or players or draft picks or maybe even cap space.
Right.
And then the line of that may mean saying goodbye to players that have brought us and our fans great moments over the years. It's like, guys, I don't know if you guys know how this works in sports, but there might be some players who are playing for the Rangers right now that might not be playing for the Rangers tomorrow. which really is right. This fan, it sums up this fan base beautifully, which is that the Rangers are, when they go through something like the no movement clause, when they found out what no movement clauses are, like, wait, we can't just trade a guy with a no movement clause. Like, do you guys have to deal with that? I'm like, yeah, the whole league does. Like, this is a thing. Like, oh, sorry, I wasn't really paying attention to that stuff until we needed to get rid of Barclay Goodrow and Dr. Jacob Trouba's wife, or Jacob Trouba's doctor wife. Yes, and then I do want to just read the last line as well, because I think that's my favorite part of this letter, which is, "You will begin to see some of our plans come to light in the coming weeks and months. LGR." Oh, okay, yeah, just hey guys, just give me some time. It's going to be a couple of weeks, maybe a couple months. LGR, like you'll know when the super secret plan that we're telling everybody about starts.
Right. It's just this thing just made me so mad because for a few reasons. Like, one, again, they did this trick already. Like, there's a saying in Magic, like, never do the same trick twice, because people are going to get on it. They're doing this now. They did the same trick twice. And they don't seem to be getting away with it again. Like, people, again, most Rangers fans that I've read, I've been on the Reddit, they're not buying this. And like, they've been on the trade everybody train for a long time. And it's just like getting to Drury now, which, as Mike was just saying, like, they're the last kind to hear about it. But the whole thing is nothing. Like, it's just the whole, what made the first letter so kind of, earth shattering was nobody had ever done this before. And the content of the letter wasn't really all that great, or telling, but like, nobody had ever said this before. Now the Rangers are starting to make this a thing, whereas it doesn't need to be a thing. Like, he doesn't have to put out a memo to the fans to apologize for this bad season and then go out and get new players. Just go out and get new players. Like, that's your job. I don't understand. Again, calling it a retool, a rebuild, a rejigger on the fly, whatever it is. None of these things mean anything. Just get better and the fans will be okay with it. Like, it's incredible to me that they think this is a thing that they need to do when they just don't. And again, the rebuild that they had lasted for exactly zero time at all. They drafted Capo Caco, I guess. So the first letter went out in 2018. They drafted Vitaly Kravtsov that year. They drafted Capo Caco second overall the next year. They drafted Alexei Lafreniere first overall the year after. Somewhere in there, they signed Artemi Panarin. Adam Fox whined his way there. So the whole letter that Glenn Sather and Jeff Gorton sent out literally ended up meaning nothing, because the rebuild never happened. They just got better in a hurry because they're the Rangers, and that's what happens. Now Chris Drury's trying to do it again, as if that's not going to happen again. Like, all it's going to take is some free agent somewhere. And like, I'm just throwing a name out there. We talked about it already. Austin Matthews is a free agent in 2 years, right? Or something. Right. Connor McDavid is a free agent in 2 years. You don't think the Rangers are going to go after these guys? Like, of course they are. And then they'll probably sign one of them, and then they'll be like, oh, look, our rebuild's over. Like, this letter is completely unnecessary. And, the fact that it's getting shit on by everybody actually sort of warms my heart, because when it came out, I was like, oh my God damn it, they're going to do it again. They're going to luck into two, early picks and get them. But I don't know if that's going to happen this time, but maybe it will. And I could be mad about it then, but just the whole thing of it is like, you don't need to do this. Like, there's no reason for this. You're just wasting everybody's time, which again, Chris Drury loves doing. And I got to say this about Chris Drury. He and James Dolan are birds of a feather. Yeah. These two guys are absolutely, we talk about Matthew Darche and Patrick Waugh being in sync. These two guys are literally like cut from the same cloth. I mean, I'm surprised James Dolan isn't like, never talk to me or my son ever again. Like, that's what he and Chris Drury kind of are at this point. Like, they're the same guy. Like, they're literally the same guy. I don't think he's ever going to get fired, Chris Drury. And as you guys know, we don't really do hot takes on the show, but I do have a hot take for you. I think, and I hope, and I know you guys are going to feel the same way. I think that Chris Drury stands a chance at being the closest thing we have seen to Mike Milbury in a very, very long time. He's got the ego, he's got the sort of scowly face, and he's got the absolute lack of patience and quick trigger finger and just, complete like insanity software that Milbury had. I think we might be able to get there with him. It seems like, am I crazy? Do you read that? I mean, Dom, you lived through that whole period. Do you see the similarities between Drury and Milbury?
I do. As you were starting to say that, I was like, oh, I think I know where you're going. Yeah. And I read this kind of thinking like, because I feel like no one in communications probably touched this, or at least they were overtold. So I read it as like Dolan and Drury sitting down together, like, you know what would be great is if we do a letter.
Right. We did it once before, though. It's got to work again, right? They loved the first one. Yeah.
So I hope he has Dolan's confidence for as long as Milbury was able to. Oh, that'd be great.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that this kind of decision gets talked about for a couple days before too. So I would have loved to just be in the meetings between the two of them, being like, "All right, we gonna do the letter now? Like, we gonna tell Ranger fans we hear them now? Like, it's outrageous because it's as we say all the time when we hear the professional liars talk about GMs. This is just as if you or any of us just put a letter out to our colleagues and was like, "I'm gonna do my job now." Things aren't going well. I'm gonna start doing my job correctly now, and because that's when these GMs are talked about on any show, headlines, 32 Thoughts, whatever. They're guys, he's making calls. Yeah, that's like going to a taxi driver and being like, he's dropping people off. Like he's doing the most important thing of his job, which is trying to make his team better. It's not like this is guys, just want to say like Tom Fitzgerald wasn't doing his job for the first 3 months of the season. He's going to start doing his job now. Like,
making calls.
Yeah, he's so making calls. He's showing up to work today, guys. So this is and being like, oh yeah, make sure you write that in the headline. Tom Fitzgerald is quote making calls. Yeah,
I can just see like Friedman, like saying on Insider Trading. Well, what I'm hearing is Drury is now looking for players that bring tenacity, skills, pedigree.
So do you think tenacity does that cover grit too? Would you say?
Right.
Like,
of course.
It's up in the air. It's up in the air. Like he didn't formally mention it. He wants tenacity first and foremost. And these, and I actually was a little surprised that this wasn't as well received by that folk. And it came out on Friday, so maybe like the Monday morning, aggregation on podcasts and stuff. I thought they'd be like, this is brave. Like, they had no choice or whatever. Because that's how these things tend to go too. Anytime a GM does anything like this, they're like, that's just, it's a brave move. It's a bold move to go that way. That tells me he's a confident in his abilities as a GM. And it reminds me of when Drury started to, I think you're right, like go full man Mike by taking a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals and was like very close to ruining our lives, and then just dismantling it popular member by popular member in the most non-discreet, disrespectful way, like basically, I want to say it was not blackmailing, but sort of like bribing the Sharks to take Barclay Goodrow, loopholing Barclay Goodrow's no movement clause to get him to the Sharks, then just running Jacob Trouba out of town. And they kept saying the word ruthless to the point where some Rangers writers were praising Drury for doing this. Being like, oh, he's being ruthless, this is what they need. And then it's exactly the opposite of what they needed. This team was very close to winning the Stanley Cup, but I thought that this article would be talked about like that. Like this is a huge moment for the team. We'll look back on this like we looked back on the Barclay Goodrow trade as the moment where the Rangers really became the force that they are now.
Yeah. I was going to say, I would love to see somebody do like a search of the word tenacity with the name Vincent Trocheck, because I thought he was supposed to be the master, the bringer of tenacity. And now he's like the first guy on the list. It's like, what can we get for Trocheck? You think you can get a first rounder for send him back to Carolina for a first rounder? So,
and now there's like whispers about Adam Fox too. Like,
yes, right. Which is
guy,
ludicrous because, yeah.
You mean the guy who like you guys he cheated his way to your team, and it was really good and is still really good for you, and like only wants to play for you guys. You now want, you got to get rid. Okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah, and of course you might be thinking, wait, didn't they just hire Mike Sullivan to be their coach? It's like, yes, they did.
Yeah,
and apparently Sullivan's totally on board. He said he was on board with it, which again tells you that this rebuild / retool / whatever isn't going to last very long. They're just going to sign whatever free agent becomes available and just be like, okay, we're done now. We can compete now. And again, they'll probably make a couple of Eastern Conference Finals before things peter out again, and they'll send another letter. So anyway, it was too funny. We have one final thing for this, and Dom, we thank you so much. It's been a long night. We really appreciate you lending us your dulcet tones, your deep tenor to these wonderful pieces. You've made this such an enjoyable experience. We got to bring you back for more of these things because you're perfect for this. But there was a rebuttal to the letter and to the Rangers' moves, and it comes from none other than a favorite of ours, the hockey maven himself, Stan Fischler, who has seen many a team try the rebuild, retool route. I'm sure he's seen a few letters, although the Rangers are the only team that seems to put them out. And as we know, Stan isn't buying it. He is not in the mood to buy a lot of this stuff at 90 whatever years old. Stan is, not here to suffer any fools, and that's kind of what he thinks of Drury. So, Dom, if you will, please read this rebuttal tweet from the one and only Stan Fischler.
The Drury letter can be summed up in one word: applesauce. He ruined the team once, and now he's making personal millions with another Titanic movie. What he should have done is find himself. The other colossal blunder was Dolan rehiring the loser with a new contract.
I love it. God, I love Stan. So he just does not. And you might be thinking, like, well, of course, like the guy's 90 years old. He doesn't even live. He lives in Israel now. He doesn't give a shit. I got news for you. Go back to the 60s in the hockey news. Stan never gave a shit. He would have written this stuff about any GM. And Dom, you pointed out, somebody asked him, like, is he the worst Rangers GM you've ever seen? Or what was it, the worst Rangers GM? And his answer was Muzz Patrick. 60 years ago. Like, this is just so funny. Applesauce.
This is like halfway through Stan's career.
Right, yeah, exactly. Just comparing him to Muzz Patrick. Like anybody alive here knows, besides Stan, knows who that even is. But the applesauce, making another Titanic move. And by Titanic, by the way, he's capitalized it. So it's not a Titanic move like, oh, this is a tremendous, amazing move. It's a Titanic move, meaning it's gonna sink. It's gonna hit an iceberg and sink. Loser with the rehiring this loser. He should have fired himself. I mean, this is how it's done. In a tweet, he's just absolutely. I mean, this is like 4 home runs in 7 innings of work. Like, it's crazy.
I used to say this about Francesa a lot. I don't, and I feel the same way about Stan. I don't know how you could objectively look at something like this and be like, this isn't this, and not be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
That this is the amount of talent it takes to come up with this bit of prose is mind blowing.
Right.
There's nobody else like this. There's nobody else like this. And this is what I love about this, is that it doesn't seem that mean. Like, it seems, just a mensch busting someone's balls, right? Like, but this is in Stan's unbelievably beautiful language. This is as mean as you could get. Like, this is dissing applesauce. Like, this is just dissing Chris Drury under the table. Right. And he had the Iggy Piggy shtick going, which was fantastic with Shesterkin. I love that he's got the personal millions and he's got the $ as the S. Like,
yes.
It's just this is just such a beautiful thing to read, and we are really blessed to have this guy on our team, because there will never be, there never was, and there will never be another Stan Fischler, and it's because of the way that this thing was constructed. And as you said, at 4:01 a.m. Eastern time, so over there in Israel, and by a 90-year-old man on Twitter. So Stan started his career as a writer 70 years ago, in whatever it was, 1946, 56, and would have to use a typewriter and a notepad. And now he's mastered Twitter from another continent. So just an outrageous thing. And I mean, I'm just staring at it. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I'm going to, all my Ranger fan friends, I've sent it to so many people. I'm just, every time like Shesterkin has a bad game or anything, I always give him the Iggy Piggy. And now anytime Jury does something, I'm just gonna be like, applesauce.
That's so funny. Dom, do you have a favorite part of this? Very short and succinct, but amazing work by Stan Fischler.
I mean, it's applesauce for me too. It's like, oh no, he didn't go there. Applesauce.
Applesauce. How could he say that? That's crazy, but that's amazing. This has not been applesauce. This has not been a Titanic with a capital T episode. This has been an amazing episode of Ranger Peace Theater. Dom, we thank you so much for coming on, for these amazing voices. Your amazing readings are fantastic. We couldn't have done it without you, and obviously for everything you've done at Lighthouse Hockey, continue to do. You keep it going. What year is this now? I mean, we've been doing this 10 years. The site's been around for like at least 8 more, right?
Yeah. I think we're going into year 18 now. Wow. Yeah. I've lost count now.
I know. It's a lifetime for a blog, but it's amazing. We wouldn't be here without you for many reasons. And we thank you for coming on. We'll get you on again. Any final thoughts before we wrap this episode up from you?
Oh, just gratitude. Thanks for having me on for this, and thanks for doing this. You guys are you're supremely entertaining, and I love like that now there's this cycle where I read things in picturing how they're gonna show up on Islanders Anxiety. So, appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, I do that too with 32 Thoughts. I read it and I'm like, I can hear them saying young Bukowskis and all this other stuff. So.
We have there's this. It's a gift, I think, at this point, and it just happens to be the most unmarketable, hard to explain thing to anybody that's not in on the joke. Right. Like, no, what's really good about what we do on our podcast is we find absurd stuff written by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh yeah, there's that hockey team that I know you don't watch the NHL, like, but yeah, that hockey team, they've got a really crazy. They've got this guy Luke Fox, and we call him Luke Fox, and then you finally get to it to like explain the punchline. The people you're explaining it to are like, well, God bless you. I hope that you deal with whatever is haunting your brain, because this is something else.
Right. By the time you've explained it, they've already lost interest.
Yeah,
they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
I don't get it.
Yeah. But somehow it's caught on, and people really like it. And like we said, all of the three of us all here have been sent this stuff because of this bit. Like, it's just people keep bringing it up and talking about it. So we thank you all for listening, and for supporting our silliness. And the fact that like people like yourselves can understand this just goes to show you that we're not alone. Like, we feel these pieces and the ridiculousness of them, and I don't think we're ever going to run out of material. So that's the good news too.
No, I mean, Friday is going to provide us with a lot more.
Oh my God. Yeah.
As Stan talked about rehiring the loser with a new contract. We're going to be rehiring. You're not a loser, but you expect to be rehired pretty quickly here, because there's some other stuff about to come down the pipe.
Oh my God. It could get, if we get a Golden Knights blowout on Friday, we might be good.
Yeah, we need a Marner. We just
Yeah.
If I just had money to burn and whatever, I was gonna be in that building with a Marner jersey and just huge smile on my face.
That would be amazing. Oh, they're gonna rain down from the upper deck.
Yeah, that first jersey that hits the ice, I'm gonna be so. Oh my God, I can't.
We'll see. Get those tweets ready.
Oh, it's ready to
go from 2019. But anyway.
Yep. Oh, I'm ready.
It's been a long episode, but hey, you guys had the day off today. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope we all enjoyed tonight's Islanders Canucks game and the Islanders come out on the right side of that. I'll keep the outro short. Become a member of patreon.com/Islanders Anxiety. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day for your most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion, because Dom and Jenny and everybody there is doing tremendous work. So keep reading there. Islanders Anxiety podcasts are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Shop vintageicehockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project, an official partner of the New York Islanders and UBS Arena. That's it. Go home. We'll be back next week after the Islanders 3-game week, and we will see what Master Leaf Theater is in store for us then. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.